Okay, guys, we are live. I did not know we would have this live, but we do have it live. So we're waiting for President Trump to address this rare gathering of U.S. generals, military leaders. I guess maybe I should say military. I said U.S. generals, but it's generals and admirals. It's military leaders. Military commanders? Okay. I can't. I haven't even opened the chat yet. I had to rush on the air so fast. I did not know we were going to have this. Thanks for bearing with me here. Thanks for bearing with me here. Top military brass, one of our viewers said that might be a good suggestion too. Thanks for bearing. Oops, hold on. Thanks for bearing with me here. Hang on. Okay. So we're live. We are live. This is in Quantico, Virginia. I will play for you after what Pete Hegseth has to say, which I didn't even see, but I can play it for you after. So I apologize. To be perfectly honest, I did not think this was going to be televised. What's happening? What's happening? Wait. Hold on. Why am I not hearing anything? Why am I not hearing anything? I'll tell you in a second. We will hear something.
Every single day of watching him put America first, of ensuring that our warfighters have everything they need. His compass is clear. He's easy to follow because you know he has our back. I was thinking backstage, the man who was the commander-in-chief when the War Department was created was George Washington. The man who was president when the War Department was reestablished is President Trump. And when he found out about this gathering of senior leaders, he said, I would be honored to come in order to address and thank the incredible Americans who defend our nation. He has a heart full of gratitude and love for what you do, and we get a chance to see it every day. And I'm honored that this morning you all firsthand get to see it as well. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the 45th and 47th President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, Pete. Great job you're doing, too. Fantastic job. I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is very... Oh, don't laugh. Don't laugh. You're not allowed to do that. You know what? Just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank. There goes your future. But you just feel nice and loose, okay? Because we're all on the same team. And I was told that, sir, you won't hear a murmur in the room. I said, we got to loosen these guys up a little bit. So you just have a good time. But I want to thank Secretary Hegseth. Military. We're very proud of our military. We built the military during my first term. It's one of the greatest achievements. We had the greatest economy in history, and I built the military. Those are the two things I say more than anything else. And I also kept us safe at the borders. We had very good borders. We didn't have people coming in from jails and prisons and everything like took place over the last 4 years. They'll never forget what happened to this country over the last 4 years with the incompetence. There could be no higher honor than to serve as your commander-in-chief. It is a great honor. I look at you, you're just incredible people. Central casting, I might add. To each and every one of you, I thank you for your unwavering devotion to the armed forces and to the country that we've all sworn a sacred oath to defend. We all have that oath, every one of us. I'm thrilled to be here this morning to address the senior leadership of what is once again known around the world as the Department of War. I know Pete spoke about it. He gave a great speech, I thought. Great speech. I don't want him to get so good. I hate that. You know? No, I hate it. I almost fired him. I said, you can't, I don't want to go on after that. What is once again known around the world as the Department of War. I know Pete spoke about it. Used to be called the Department of War. And he goes, yes, sir. They changed it like in the early 50s. So we won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything in between and everything before that. We only won. And then we went, in a way, woke. That was probably the first sign of wokeness. And we changed it to defense instead of war. And I said, what do you think? How do you think if we changed it back? Would that be a nice idea? And Pete loved it immediately. Some people thought about it. You know, they gave it a little thought. But in the end, we did it. And I have to be honest, it's so popular. I thought it would be met with fury on the left. But they're sort of giving up, I must be honest with you. They've had it. They've had it with Trump. They've been after me for so many years now. Here we are. Here we are. Come to the White House anytime you'd like. No, they've given up. They're bad, a lot of bad people. But all over, it's been so popular. It's been very popular. I really thought that we were going to have to sort of fight it through. There's been no fight. There's been no fight. Like what I called the Gulf of America, the Gulf of America, because to me it was always the Gulf of America. I could never understand. We have 92% of the frontage, and for years, actually 350 years, they were there before us. It was called the Gulf of Mexico. I just had this idea. I'm looking at a map. I'm saying, we have most of the frontage. Why is it Gulf of Mexico? Why isn't it the Gulf of America? And I made the change, and it went smoothly. I mean, we had a couple of fake news outlets that refused to make the change. And then one of them, AP, took us to court, and we won. And the judge, who was a somewhat liberal judge, said, the name is the Gulf of America, because AP refused to call it the Gulf of America. They wrote, they're not a good outfit, by the way. They call it the Gulf of Mexico. I said, no, the Gulf of America is the name. And the judge actually said that, in fact, you can't even go into the room because what you're doing is not appropriate. The name is the Gulf of America. Google Maps changed the name. Everybody did, but AP wouldn't. And then we won in court. How about that? Isn't that so cool? Beautifully described. The name change reflects far more than the shift in branding. It's really a historic reassertion of our purpose and our identity and our pride. That's when we go with the word war. And you know, we want war because we want to have no wars, but you have to be there, and you know, sometimes you have to do it. I have settled so many wars since we're here. We're here almost 9 months, and I've settled 7, and yesterday we might have settled the biggest of them all, although I don't know. Pakistan, India was very big. Both nuclear powers, I settled that. But yesterday could be the settlement in the Middle East. That hasn't happened for 3,000 years. I said, how long have you been fighting? 3,000 years, sir. That's a long time. But we got it, I think, settled. We'll see. Hamas has to agree. And if they don't, it's going to be very tough on them. But it is what it is. But all of the Arab nations, Muslim nations have agreed. Israel has agreed. It's an amazing thing. It just came together. War is very strange, you know. You never know what's going to happen with war. The easiest one of them all is Putin. I said, number one, it's a war that would have never happened if I were president, if the election weren't rigged. And if I were president, that war would have never happened, not even a little chance. And it didn't happen for 4 years. But I knew Putin very well, and I thought that would be easy because I know him so well. Well, that one turned out to be the hardest of them all. We had some that were not settlable, and they all got settled. So if this works out, that we did yesterday with the Middle East, then that's more than a war. That's lots of wars. That's all combined. That's a lot of wars. Many of you were over there in many different capacities in many different countries. That's a big part of the earth. But if that works out, it would be 8+. I could give myself 2 or 3 for that one. And then we just have the one to settle, and we have to settle it up with President Putin and Zelensky. Got to get them together and get it done. But the only way we can do that is through strength. I mean, if we were weak, they wouldn't even take my phone call. But we have extreme strength. We had the horror show in Afghanistan, which is really the reason I think that Putin went in. He saw that horror show by Biden and his team of incompetent people. And that showed, I think it gave him a path in. I wasn't there any longer. I watched that, and it was so horrible. I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And now we're back, and that's it. We're not going to have any of that crap happen, I can tell you. That was terrible, so terrible. Together we're reawakening the warrior spirit, and this is a spirit that won and built this nation, and from the cavalry that tamed the Great Plains to the ferocious, unyielding power of Patton Bradley and the great General Douglas MacArthur. These are all great men. In this effort, we're a team, and so my message to you is very simple. I am with you, I support you, and as president, I have your backs 100%. You'll never see me even waver a little bit. It's the way it is. And that includes our great police officers and firemen and all of these people that are doing so well. Together over the next few years, we're going to make our military stronger, tougher, faster, fiercer, and more powerful than it has ever been before. I rebuilt our nuclear, as you probably know, but we'll upgrade that also and just hope we never have to use it. We have to hope we never have to use it, because the power of that is so incredible. I see things, I don't think they'd show it to you. I really wouldn't want them to show it to you. But when you see the result of what's left, you never want to use that. Never, never, ever. We were a little bit threatened by Russia recently, and I sent a submarine, nuclear submarine, the most lethal weapon ever made. Number one, you can't detect it. There's no way. We're 25 years ahead of Russia and China in submarines. Russia's actually second in submarines. China's third, but they're coming up. They're coming up. They're way lower in nuclear too, but in 5 years they'll be equal. They're coming up. And you don't have to be that good with nuclear. You could have 1/20th what you have now and still do the damage that would be, that'd be so horrendous. But I announced that, based on his mention of nuclear, and it was really a stupid person that works for him mentioned the word nuclear, I moved a submarine or two, I won't say about the two, over to the coast of Russia, just to be careful, because we can't let people throw around that word. I call it the N-word. There are 2 N-words, and you can't use either of them. You can't use either of them. And frankly, if it does get to use, we have more than anybody else. We have better, we have newer, but it's something we don't ever want to even have to think about. But when somebody mentions it, that submarine started immediately thereafter. And it's just lurking, but I'm sure we're not going to have to use it. But it's an amazing, it's undetectable, totally. Ours is, theirs isn't. Theirs are totally detectable. We can detect them easily. We go right to the spot. But we have genius apparatus that doesn't allow detection. It doesn't allow detection at all by anybody above water or below water. It's incredible. We're way ahead of everybody in that and other things. As a result of the exciting renewal of the spirit of our armed forces, and that's what it is. It's really reaching that spirit, unprecedented heights. Over the past 8 months, new enlistments, I'm so proud of this, have surged to record highs, the highest we've ever had. And we used to have recruiting shortages. If you remember, about a year and a half ago, I was at the beginning stage of a campaign, And things came out that you couldn't get people to join the armed forces. And by the way, the police also, fire department. I always put the fire department in because they're great. They're great. And I got 95% of their vote, too. That helps. When you get 95% of their vote, you always have to mention them. But they're great. And they're brave in our inner cities, which we're going to be talking about, because it's a big part of war now. It's a big part of war. But the firemen go up in ladders, and you have people shooting at them while they're up in ladders. I don't even know if anybody heard that. And I said, don't talk about it much, but I think you have to. Our firemen are incredible. They're up in one of these ladders that goes way up to the sky, rescuing people, and you have animals shooting at them, shooting bullets at firemen that are way up in death territory. You fall off that ladder, it's over. It's over. They don't even have to inspect you when you hit the ground. And you have people shooting bullets at them in some of these inner cities. We're not going to let that happen. So I always mention the firemen because that's actually a big problem we have. They are unbelievable. Like you, they're unbelievable people. For the first time on record in 2025, the Navy, Air Force, and Space Force all met or surpassed their recruiting goals 3 months early. That never happened before. And the Army did even better. Congratulations, Army. They met everything. And these were the highest standards because we're making it larger. So these were much higher standards than you had 4 years ago, 3 years ago, during the sleepy Joe Biden era. And the Army did it 4 months early. And you remember, a year and a half ago, they said the big stories that we're way behind with the Army, Air Force, the Navy, the Marines. We're way behind, Coast Guard, and even Space Force. I love Space Force because that was my creation. You know, when you create something, I love it. And the people we put in there were good. I got that right. We put in great people initially, and we've really dominated. We really dominate in that sphere now. We're way behind China and Russia, and now we dominate. Space Force turned out to be a very important thing. I said from the beginning, you know, when Biden came into office, he wanted to terminate it. He said, and this thing called Space Force, so we could get rid of that. And he got hammered by the people in this room for even suggesting it, because it's very important, one of the most important. And as time goes by, it'll get more and more important. But we're now at 106% of our recruiting targets for the year, and that's the best in far more than a generation. And for the Marines, morale is so strong that the Marine Corps will meet its 2026 retention targets before the end of October, which never happens. And that's the earliest it's ever happened in the history of our country. And it makes you feel good, you know. I felt guilty. I'd go make a speech in front of never people like you. You are the leaders, but people, soldiers. And I felt embarrassed because there'd be stories about, you know, we couldn't fill up our Army, Navy, Air Force. We couldn't fill them up. And it was headlines. It was during Biden's 4 years. The auto pen, I call him the auto pen. It's, how would you like to have your thing signed by an auto pen? You know, when I have a general and I have to sign for a general because we have beautiful paper, the gorgeous paper, I said, throw a little more gold on it. They deserve it. I want the A paper, not the D paper. We used to sign a piece of garbage. I said, this man's going to be a general, right? Yeah. I don't want to use this. I want to use the big, beautiful, firm paper. I want to use the real gold writing when you talk about the position, and they're beautiful. And, but how would you like to have that where some kid sitting in the back office is having it signed with an auto pen? I thought about it, and I thought about you people first, admirals, generals. I said, somebody works his whole life. He gets into maybe the academies or wherever, but however you got there, and you go through years of work, and now you become an admiral or a general or whatever. And when you do, the President of the United States signs your commission, as you know, and that commission is beautifully displayed. And I sign it. Actually, I love my signature. I really do. Everyone loves my signature. But I signed it very proudly, and I always think to myself, how can you have an auto pen sign this? It's just so disrespectful. To me, it's just totally disrespectful. And it turned out that almost everything he did was signed by Otto Penn, except for when he gave his son, Hunter, pardon. He signed that one. And that's actually the worst signature I've ever seen. That was the bad. The Otto Penn looks much better. But as leaders, our commitment to every patriot who put on the uniform is to ensure that American military remains the most lethal and dominant on the planet, not merely for a few years, but for the decades and generations to come, for centuries. We must be so strong that no nation will dare challenge us, so powerful that no enemy will dare threaten us, and so capable that no adversary can even think about beating us. And we've had it recently. I had India and Pakistan were going at it, and I called them both. And in this case, I used trade. I'm not going to trade with you. You start two nuclear nations, big nuclear. And no, you cannot do that. I said, yes, I can. You go into this frickin' war that I'm hearing about. You know, actually, they just shot down 7 planes. 7 planes, it was starting. There's a lot of bad blood. And I said, you do this, there's not going to be any trade. And I stopped the war. It was raging for 4 days, but that was just the beginning. And we stopped it. It was a great thing. And the Prime Minister of Pakistan was here, along with the Field Marshal, who's a very important guy in Pakistan, and he was here 3 days ago. And I didn't even realize it as beautifully as he said it, but he said that to a group of people that were with us, 2 generals, but a group, he said, this man saved millions of lives because he saved the war from going on, and that war was going to get very bad, very, very bad. President Trump saved millions and millions of lives. That was a bad war. And I was very honored. I loved the way he said it. Susie Wiles was there. She said that was the most beautiful thing. But we saved a lot of them. Saved a lot of them. Even in Africa, we saved the Congo with Rwanda. They've been fighting for 31 years, 10 million people dead. I got that one done. And very proud of it. So if this works out, we'll have 8. 8 in 8 months. That's pretty good. Nobody's ever done that. Will you get the Nobel Prize? Absolutely not. They'll give it to some guy that didn't do a damn thing. They'll give it to a guy that wrote a book about the mind of Donald Trump and what it took to solve the wars. And he'll get the Nobel Prize will go to a writer. No, but well, let's see what happens. But it's be a big insult to our country. I will tell you that. I don't want it. I want the country to get it. But it should get it because there's never been anything like it. Think of it. So if this happens, I think it will. I don't say that lightly because I know more about deals than anybody. This is what my whole life was based on. And they can change, and this can certainly change. But we have just about everybody. We have one signature that we need, and that signature will pay in hell if they don't sign. I hope they sign for their own good and we create something really great. But to have done 8 of them is just like such an honor. And then we have Putin and Zelensky. The easiest one of them all. I said, that one I'll get done. I thought that was going to be first. The others are much harder, some of them. Azerbaijan this was going on for 36 years. They said, it's not solvable, sir. Don't do it. I said, I will do it. I will do it. And I got on the phone with the 2 countries. They were great. They were great. I knew immediately. I knew as soon as I started talking to them, we're going to solve that war. And we did. Now they're so happy. Now they're friends. One said he's been president for 32 years, 22 years. He said, for 22 years, I did nothing but kill his people. They were in the room together at the Oval Office. And they started off spread like this. I have the beautiful Resolute desk. And one was here, and one was here. You couldn't get further away. That's the furthest I've ever seen 2 people in front of me. And as the hour went by, they got closer, closer, closer. And at the end of the hour, we had it done. And they hugged and hugged and hugged. And I said, that's so nice, and you're going to remain friends. And I spoke to them, one of them the other day. He said, no, he's now my friend. But for 22 years, he's been the head of Azerbaijan for 22 years. And the other guy, great guy too, 7. And you know that war, that was a war that was not solvable. He said, for 7 years. The other one said, for 22 years. All I did was kill his people. That's all I've done. I said, well, we're going to put a stop to that. So we solved that. So it's a great thing. It's a great feeling. You know, you're saving Kosovo and Serbia. You're saving so many lives doing this, if you can do it. But our people deserve nothing less than the very best, and we're never going to let them down. And if we can solve wars instead of you having to fight wars, wouldn't that be wonderful, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's why one of the first executive orders I signed upon taking office was to restore the principle of merit. That's the most important word, other than the word tariff. I love tariffs. Most beautiful word. But I'm not allowed to say that anymore. I said tariff is my favorite word. I love the word tariff. You know, we're becoming rich as hell. We have a big case in front of the Supreme Court, but I can't imagine, because this is what other nations have done to us. And we have, you know, great legal grounds and all, but you still have a case. It would be very bad if something happened. But I said, my favorite word in the English dictionary is the word tariff. And people thought that was strange. And the fake news came over and they really hit me hard on it. They said, what about love? What about religion? What about God? What about wife, family? I got killed when I said tariff is my favorite word. So I changed it. It's now my 5th favorite word. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But they hit me hard. But it is. I mean, when you look at, we've taken in trillions of dollars. We're rich, rich again. And there'll never be, when we finish this out, there'll never be any wealth like what we have. Other countries were taking advantage of us for years and years. You know that better than anybody. And now we're treating them fairly. But the money coming in is, we've never seen anything like it. The other day they had $31 billion that they found, $31 billion. So we found $31 billion and we're not sure from where it came. A gentleman came in, a financial guy. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, we don't know where it came. I said, check the tariff shelf. No, sir, the tariffs haven't started in that sector yet. I said, yes, they have. They started 7 weeks ago. Check it. Comes back 20 minutes later. Sir, you're right. It came from tariffs. $31 billion. That's enough to buy a lot of battleships, Admiral, to use an old term. I think we should maybe start thinking about battleships, by the way. You know, we have a Secretary of the Navy came to me, because I look at the Iowa out in California, and I look at different ships and the old pictures. I used to watch Victory at Sea. I love Victory at Sea. Look at these admirals. It's got to be your all-time in black and white. And I look at those ships. They came with the destroyers alongside of them, and man, nothing was going to stop. They were 20 deep, and they were in a straight line, and there was nothing going to stop them. And we actually talk about, you know, those ships. Some people would say, no, that's old technology. I don't know. I don't think it's old technology when you look at those guns. But it's something we're actually considering, the concept of battleship. Nice 6-inch sides, solid steel, not aluminum. Aluminum that melts if it looks at a missile coming at it. Starts melting as the missile's about 2 miles away. Now, those ships, they don't make them that way anymore. But you look at it, and your secretary likes it, and I'm sort of open to it. And bullets are a lot less expensive than missiles. A lot of reasons. I should take a vote, but I'm afraid to take that vote because I may get voted out on that one. But I tell you, it's something we're seriously considering. There were powers. There were big powers. They were just about as mean and scary as you could be. And so we're looking at that. One of the biggest cases that we won was the decision of the United States Supreme Court to allow us to proceed on the word merit. Merit. So those two words are right up there. So this is, I would say, the opposite if you ask for a definition. The opposite of political correctness. We went through political correct, where you had to have people that were totally unfit to be doing what you're doing for many reasons. I won't get into them. But for many reasons, they were unfit. Now, it's all based on merit. That was such an unbelievable decision. I didn't expect we were going to win that one. We went in. We said we needed it. We went in for colleges, you know, where kids with a C average are getting into the best colleges, and the kids with A averages won't get in. And kids with the highest boards and the highest marks and the best marks couldn't get into the best schools. And people that had not good boards and not very good marks, I mean, okay, but nothing special, they were getting into our best colleges. I said, this is just crazy. You can't run a country like this. And it was lingering for years, and it got to the Supreme Court, and we won that decision. Merit, everything's based on merit. You're all based on merit. We're not going to have somebody taking your place for political reasons because they are politically correct, and you're not. We take the people that are going to do the best job. That's all. It's very simple. And that's the way our country was built. We were built on merit. We got away from it for a long time. And everyone understands it. And it was done. It was approved. I give great credit to the Supreme Court because I thought they had tremendous courage. I didn't think they'd do that. That was tremendous. I give them maybe for that decision almost more than anything because it's a hard decision to make. It's really hard. The apparatus of our country was not set up for merit. It was set up for political correctness. And you can never be great if you're going to do that. And we're going to be greater than we ever were before. We're bringing back a focus on fitness, ability, character, and strength. And that's because the purposes of American military is not to protect anyone's feelings. It's to protect our republic, and it's the republic that we dearly love. It's to protect our country. We will not be politically correct when it comes to defending American freedom, and we will be a fighting and winning machine. We want to fight, we want to win, and we want to fight as little as possible. You have to count on people like me to keep you out of wars because we don't want to go into wars. Many of the wars that I just told you about, we could have entered those wars and settled them in a different way, lose a lot of our troops. And we could have settled them, I guess, differently. Maybe not, actually. Actually, you might not have been able to settle them. We just would have been in the middle of a lot of firepower. But when we do need it, you're going to be so ready. And you know it. But very importantly, with that goal in mind, I've committed to spending over $1 trillion on our military in 2026, and that's the most in the history of our country. $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. I hope you like that. Ma'ams and sirs, I hope you like it. That's a hell of a lot of money. We have the best of everything. Every branch is seeing major investments, and as I announced in the Oval Office in March, we are rapidly moving forward with the first ever 6th generation fighter jet. I didn't name it. I did not name it. Boeing came in and they said, sir, this is our submittal. It's the greatest fighting jet ever done. And you know, they're testing all these planes, all the companies are testing, and this one tested like through the roof. And they said, we'd like to name it the F-47. I said, all right, let me think about it. Then after thinking for about 2 seconds, I said, okay. You know what that means, 47, I'm 47. So I'm 45, 46, and 47, you know, if you think about it. I just don't want the credit for 46. I don't want to have their open borders and people coming in from all over the world, including jails and mental institutes. I don't want that on my record, but I like having it. We're investing tens of billions of dollars in modernizing our nuclear deterrence capabilities like never before. And we've begun construction on what we call the Golden Dome missile defense shield. It'll be the most sophisticated in the world. You watched it do well until they had some problems at the end with a little bit of a lack of ammunition, defensive ammunition, but they've got that taken care of. But I tell you, it's what we're doing is so good, and we deserve it. You know, we help other countries with it. We don't have it ourselves. And Canada called me a couple of weeks ago. They want to be part of it. To which I said, well, why don't you just join our country? You become 51, become the 51st state, and you get it for free. So I don't know if that made a big impact, but it does make a lot of sense. It actually makes, because they're having a hard time up there in Canada now, because as you know, with tariffs, everyone's coming into our country. We have more investment than we've ever had before, $17 trillion coming in. As an example, in 4 years, Biden didn't have $1 trillion. We have 17 trillion more than that in 8 months coming in. And they're coming in from Canada, Mexico, from Europe, from all over. AI, auto plants. Everybody's coming back to the United States. Under my budget, we will be expanding the U.S. Navy by at least 19 ships next year, including submarines, destroyers, assault ships, and more. And it's going to be much more than that as we go along, because we basically don't build ships anymore. We do build submarines, but we don't build ships. Do you know in the Second World War, they were freighters and different types, but we were doing a ship a day, and now we don't do ships. And I'm not a fan of some of the ships you do. I'm a very aesthetic person, and I don't like some of the ships you're doing aesthetically. They say, oh, it's stealth. I said, that's not stealth. An ugly ship is not necessary in order to say you're stealth. By the way, the B-2 bombers were incredible. That is stealth. They went into that. I was with General Kane and Pete were in we call it the war room, but we're watching them go in, and they were totally untouched. They were not seen. They were literally not seen. They dropped their bombs. They hit, every single one of them hit its target. It was total obliteration. CNN, when we came back, fake news CNN, oh, their camera just went off. Look, you know, their camera, every time I mention them, they turn the camera off because it's never good. They say, this is a problem. But I don't blame them. You're better off keeping it off. But they have some scammer reporter who started saying, without any knowledge, that he may not have hit the targets as well as they thought. It may not have been obliteration. He did hit the targets, and I got to give us a little credit, right? It was obliteration, it turned out. The Atomic Energy Commission said it was obliteration. They had, not only did they hit the target, they had these chutes. And think of this here. Way up in the sky, there was no moon. It was dead dark. You couldn't see a thing. You couldn't see them. But they had, I guess, a beam going right into these chutes. Every single one of those bombs went right down those chutes into a granite mountain. I think it's the last time they're going to build air chutes. They had these air chutes that were nice, beautiful. They were meant for us. But it was total obliteration. And now they give us credit for that. But these people were phenomenal. I tell you, for the Air Force people here, you can be very proud. That B-2, we just ordered a lot of new ones and updated ones, but I'd take the other ones. Let me tell you, they couldn't have worked any better. So they flew for 37 hours total, back and forth, no stops, no nothing. We had 52 tankers loading them up. And that's a job I wouldn't necessarily want too much, flying a tanker, loaded up with hundreds of thousands of gallons of fuel. I don't know if I'd do that job, General. I asked the question, what happens if it gets hit? Sir, you don't want to know about that, right? I don't want to know about that. But those guys, they just hear us. They're incredible. I had them all to the Oval Office. We had the B-2 pilots and a lot of the people, even the people that took care of them, the maintenance people, just as important. We had them all to the White House, gave them a big party on the lawn, brought some of them into the Oval Office. But on top of all this, we'll deliver a hard-earned pay raise of 3.8% to every soldier, sailor, airman, Coast Guardsman, Space Guardman, and Marine, something you weren't getting from the past administration. They did not treat you with respect. They're Democrats. They never do. Not only are we rebuilding our great strength, but for the first time in years, my administration is actually using that strength to defend the core and vital interests of America. And very simply, we are putting America first. And I have since I've been elected. I've always put America first. It's sort of simple, you know, when you think. My campaign was run on common sense, and we did great. We got the highest numbers ever received in terms of districts. You know, they have it broken up, 2,500 versus 525. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote. We won everything. We won everything. You have to take a look at the map. It's almost entirely red, except there's a little blue line on each coast, and I think that's going to disappear too. We did really great, and part of it is because of our success with the military, the rebuilding of the military. the vote that I got from the military. And they're vicious people, you know, that we have to fight, just like you have to fight vicious people. Mine are different, a different kind of vicious. But they spread all these horrible, you know, they made up statements and said what I said about everything, but even about the military. But fortunately, the military didn't believe it. It's hard. You know, they make up a statement and they said, you say it. We had 25 people that said he never said that. 25. We had 25 affidavits. And they said, well, we're going with it anyway. You know, these sleazebags. And it's why the press is really losing all power, because people aren't believing it. We need an honest press. We need borders. We need borders. We need an honest press. We need fair elections. I mean, those three things. And we don't have an honest press. We have a really corrupt press. But we fight through the corrupt press. And the people understand you have to do this stuff a lot. You have to go on television a lot, because you can't get a fair shake if you're going to rely on somebody else. They don't understand. They've destroyed the image of media now is at the lowest point it's ever been. It's lower than Congress. Can you believe that? It's something. But together with many of you in the room, we've brought back the fundamental principle that defending the homeland is the military's first and most important priority. That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on. We're not going to let this happen. Biden let people come in from prisons, mental institutions, drug dealers, murderers. You know, we had 11,488 murderers allowed into our country by this guy who had no clue. He had no clue. He shouldn't have been there in the first place, but he had no clue. The people that ran the office, the White House, were people that surrounded him, radical left lunatics that are brilliant people, but dumb as hell when it came to policy and common sense. And they allowed people from all over the world, from the Congo. They opened up prisons in the Congo. They came into our country totally unmatched, unvetted, unchecked. And from all over, South America, not just South America. You know, you think South America, no, but from all over. A lot came in from Venezuela. Venezuela emptied its prison population into our country. That's why they have Tren de Aragua, one of the worst gangs ever. But we took care of them. We took good, strong care of them. And I just want to thank the National Guard in Washington, D.C. It's embarrassing to say this. Now I can say it because we solved it, but Washington, D.C. was the most unsafe, most dangerous city in the United States of America. And to a large extent, beyond. And beyond that, you go to Afghanistan, they didn't have anything like that. You go to countries that you would think there's problems, they didn't have that. And now Washington, D.C., after 12 days of serious, serious intensity, we took out 1,700 career criminals. If you have 5 career criminals, they can make your numbers look very bad because they'll commit many crimes a day. But we took out 1,700, and they took them out. There was no doubt who the boss was. They did an unbelievable job. Then they started even cleaning. I said, I don't want them doing that, sir. They were cleaning it up. I drove through it 2 days ago. It was beautiful. People are walking down the street holding hands, man and wife, coming from Iowa. They're not worried about being shot. Washington, D.C. is now a safe city. In fact, I went out to dinner with my crew. I haven't done that. In theory, I wouldn't do it. And I felt totally safe. And nobody's been attacked. Nobody's been hurt. Washington, D.C. went from our most unsafe city to just about our safest city in a period of a month. We had it under control in 12 days, but give us another 15, 16 days. It's perfect. And people other than politicians that look bad, they think, you know, The Democrats run most of the cities that are in bad shape. We have many cities in great shape too, by the way. I want you to know that. But it seems that the ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. We can't let these people in. You know, we had no people enter in the last 4 months. Zero. Even I can't believe that. You know, we had millions coming in, pouring in. 25 million all told. And of those 25 million, many of them should never be in our country. They would take their worst people and their people from prisons and jail, and they'd put them in a caravan and they'd walk up. CNN was interviewing one person. Oh, why are you coming? I want freedom. Good. Were you in jail? Yes. For what? Murder. I said, you were in for, you had to see this anchor, a young woman. She's like, I couldn't believe. She'll probably lose her job. But because the left doesn't want to hear that. But we're running it based on common sense and based on love of our country. But I want to salute every service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid governor, stupid. They threw him out of his family business. He was so stupid. I know the family. He becomes governor. He's got money. Not money that he made, but he ran for governor, he won, and now he criticizes us all the time. And last week they had 11 people murdered, 44 people shot. The week before that they had 5 people murdered, 28 people shot. Every weekend they lose 5, 6. If they lose 5, they're considering it a great week. They shouldn't lose any. You shouldn't lose any. This is civilization. And he's always up there saying, we're in very good shape. We don't need the military. No, they need the military desperately. How about Portland? Portland, Oregon, where it looks like a war zone. And I get a call from the liberal governor. Sir, please don't come in. We don't need you. I said, well, unless they're playing false tapes, this looked like World War II. Your place is burning down. I mean, you must be kidding. Sir, we have it under control. I said, you don't have it under control, Governor, but I'll check it, and I'll call you back. I called her back. I said, this place is a nightmare. Probably, it's certainly not the biggest, but it's one of the worst. It's brutal. They go after our ICE people, who are great patriots and tough job too, but they love it. They love it because they're cleaning up our country. And so you look at some of the things where they took over parts of Seattle. They actually took over a big percentage of Seattle. Think of that. You remember that. That was a while ago. And I sent in the troops, and they were gone. As soon as I sent them in, when we send in the troops, if you have a real leader that says you got to do what you have to do, I put that out the other day. You got to do what you got to do because we don't want our people hurt as they stand by. I was watching during Biden, they had troops standing up like this, brave, standing up at attention, the way I should stand all the time. And I'm like this, and people are standing, and their mouth is this far away from their mouth, and they're spitting at them, and they're screaming at them. And that soldier standing there, he wants to knock the hell out of the person, but he's not allowed to do anything. So they just stand there and they get abused. And a woman was this far away from his face, and she starts spitting in his face, and he's not allowed to do anything. If it's okay with you, generals and admirals, I've taken that off. I say, they spit, we hit. Is that okay? I think so. They spit, it's a new thing. They spit, we hit. How about the cars where the cars are coming out? They get brand new cars, Border Patrol, ICE, beautiful, nice new cars. And they're driving along, and they have to go through a gauntlet of rocks being thrown at the car. So here's this beautiful brand new car. By the time it goes 100 yards, it's destroyed. These guys have pretty good arms, some of them. And they're throwing bricks at full force into the window and into the car. It looks like It's a war zone. And I said, never let that happen again. From now on, if that ever happens, and I say it here, you get out of that car and you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Because those people are, you can die from that. Those bricks go through the windows. You can die. They'd like it to. They'd like it to go through the window. But this was a couple of months ago. They just kept driving and bricks are hitting the car. And I said, why aren't they stopping? Because they were under orders from the past administration, never stop. But that's different with us. We stop. And since I gave that order, we haven't had that problem. It's very interesting. It's amazing. It's just like in Venezuela. You've seen the boats going. We can't find any more boats. They're carrying drugs, massive. Every boat kills about 25,000 people. That's what they have. They had fentanyl mostly and a lot of other drugs. And we take them out, and we've taken out 4. And it's on air. Everybody gets to see it. Not that we like to do that, but every boat kills 25,000 on average. 20. Some people say more. You see these boats, they're stacked up with bags of white powder. That's mostly fentanyl and other drugs too. And now we have a problem. General Kane says, sir, there are no boats out there. Not even fishing boats. They don't want to go fishing. I don't blame them. There'll be no fishing today. But it's amazing what strength will do, because all we want to do is stop drugs from flowing into our country. It's destroying. We lost 300,000 people died last year. Everybody knows friends, many friends probably, that you lost a child, or adults too, but you lost a son or daughter because of what's coming into our border. And we're making it very hard. Oh, and we haven't even started yet. Last month I signed an executive order to provide training for a quick reaction force that can help quell civil disturbances. And this is going to be a big thing for the people in this room, because it's the enemy from within, and we have to handle it before it gets out of control. It won't get out of control. Once you're involved at all, they all joke. They say, oh, this is not good. You saw it in Washington. We had gangs of Trendy Arag with 10, 12, 15 kids. And these military guys walk up to them, and they treat them with disrespect, and they just got pounded. They just got pounded. The gang just pounded, then thrown into paddy wagons and taken back to their country. Some are so dangerous we don't want to even do that, because we don't want to. Some of stone cold murderers, we don't have the confidence. Even though they're not coming back very easily, we don't have the confidence. We put them in jails. But these service members are following in a great and storied military tradition, from protecting frontier communities to chasing outlaws and bandits in the Wild West. And our history is filled with military heroes who took on all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know that phrase very well. That's what the oath says, foreign and domestic. Well, we also have domestic. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Grover Cleveland, George Bush, and others all use the armed forces to keep domestic order and peace. Many of our leaders used the military to keep peace. Now they like to say, oh, you're not allowed to use the military. And you know what the people say? The people in those cities where they're being raped and shot and beat up, you know what they say? We love the military. You ever see where they interview the people on the street? I've never seen somebody say they don't, unless they're radical and paid off, because a lot of these insurrectionists are paid by, whether it's Soros or other people, but they're paid by the radical left. So today I want to thank every service member, from general to private, who has bravely helped us secure the nation's capital and make America safe for the American people. It's amazing. The whole world is watching. Everybody in the White House, they come up to me, young women, sir, thank you. I know immediately what they thank you. They don't have to say it. They walk to work now to the White House. We haven't had a crime in Washington in so long, because we got the careers. We call them the careers. We got these lunatics out, and they'll never be any good. You know, I hate to tell this to the liberal media. You could spend time with them. You could do whatever you want. You could send them to the finest schools, which they couldn't get into anyway, mentally. They couldn't get in, but no matter what you do, they'll never be good. They're bad. They're career criminals. I don't know, maybe they were born that way. Some people don't like me to say that, but maybe they were. Certainly some were. Together with the leaders here today, we're also restoring a needed focus on defeating threats in the Western Hemisphere. Throughout this region, cartel terrorists have been allowed to wage a relentless campaign of death and destruction on our country, all because we had weak leadership on top. And we did a great job with it first term, but this is something else what we're doing now. We're taking it to the next level, probably next level times 3. But we had COVID come up, and we had to take care of that. We did a great job with COVID. We had the therapeutics, it was just Regeneron, so many things we did for COVID. But we had to focus on that, and every other country in the world was being decimated by COVID. So we had to change gear a little bit to take care of that. But under our leadership, the military is now the knife's edge in combating this sinister enemy. We have to put the traffickers and cartels on notice, and we've done that. And we've put them, a lot of them, we've called them a terrorist organization, which is actually a big thing to do. Nobody's done it, but I've done it with a lot of them. It gives you a tremendous advantage. If you try to poison our people, we will blow you out of existence, because that's the only language they really understand. That's why you don't see any more boats on the ocean. You don't see any boats. Around Venezuela, there's nothing. As president, I will never hesitate to defend our people from threats of violence, from the horrible plague that's taking place from within. The Iran nuclear power, the Iran, all of the great power that we thought existed, we blew it out to kingdom. We took advantage of it, and we just really took advantage of it, and it was a beautiful thing to see, and that's what military power can achieve. That's why I chose Raising Cane. He's fantastic, by the way. I hope you all agree. If anybody disagrees, could I please have your hand? Who disappears at Raising Cane is no good? Just raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised. All right. That means you're okay. That means that he's okay now, but I saw his results. You know, he took out ISIS. I was told it was going to take 4 years. It took 4 weeks. I went to see him, and he took him out in 4 weeks, knocked him out, knocked him to hell. And I was told by military people it was going to take 4 to 5 years to do it. And I don't even know if we'll have it then, sir. These were the Washington generals. I call them the television generals. But Raising Cane did it in 4 weeks, took out 100% of the ISIS caliphate. As a result of these actions and many others since my inauguration, we're witnessing the triumphant return of peace through strength. We have great peace through strength. America is respected again as a country. We were not respected with Biden. They looked at him falling downstairs every day. Every day the guy's falling downstairs. He said, it's not our president. We can't have it. I'm very careful, you know, when I walk downstairs, like I'm on stairs, like these stairs, I walk very slowly. Nobody has to set a record. Just try not to fall, because it doesn't work out well. A few of our presidents have fallen, and it became a part of their legacy. We don't want that. You walk nice and easy. You don't have to set any record. Be cool. Be cool when you walk down, but don't bop down the stairs. So one thing with Obama, I had zero respect for him as a president, but he would bop down those stairs. I've never said, da-da, 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 bop, bop, bop. He'd go down the stairs, wouldn't hold on. I said, it's great. I don't want to do it. I guess I could do it. But eventually, bad things are going to happen, and it only takes once. But he did a lousy job as president. A year ago, we were a dead country. We were dead. This country was going to hell. We were dead in every way, from immigration to military. We didn't have the weapons. We were given everything to Ukraine. We had nothing. And by the way, I have to tell you, now, as you know, I went over and I met with NATO, and NATO raised from 2 to 5, which everyone said 5% of GDP. Millions and now trillions of dollars are pouring in. They didn't pay the 2% because they know we were there to pay it. And now they paid the 5%. That's trillions of dollars. And we're not spending any money on that war, not 10 cents. We sell our equipment to NATO. NATO pays us for the equipment, and they give it to Ukraine or whoever they give it to. They can keep it, but we're not involved. We have no money going out. Biden gave $350 billion. Not sustainable, $350 billion. And we have a war that should have never started. But we're not doing that anymore. So I just want you to know we're selling equipment. Our people are buying equipment. They are buying the equipment at full price, a fair price. So I don't want to say we're making money because I don't want to be making money on a war. It's too many people dying. They're losing 7,000 soldiers a week. A lot of them are Russian soldiers, but between the two countries, mostly soldiers, by the way. Sometimes, in Kiev, they'll lob a missile in or some drones in, kill some people. But mostly it's soldiers. Russia and Ukraine are losing 7,000 souls. And, they're not American. They're not us. They're not you. We have a special obligation. But they're soldiers. They're young people. They leave their parents. They wave goodbye. And then 2 days later, they're blown up so unnecessarily. And so that's the primary reason I want to get it done. We got to get it done. It's crazy what's going on. That's the worst war that there's been since World War II. The number of soldiers that are being killed there is just crazy. From 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers die a week. Think of that. So I think we'll get that done. But that's turned out to be the toughest one. I'm so disappointed in President Putin. I thought he would get this thing over with. He should have had that war done in a week. And I said to him, you don't look good. You're 4 years fighting a war that should have taken a week. Are you a paper tiger? And it's a shame, but I think eventually we'll get that one done, just like in theory, I want to knock on wood, because you never know. It's like we're going to have the Middle East done, which is actually a much harder thing to do. I mean, thousands of years. But we have to get that war done. So now just think of it, we're a dead country. I was with the King of Saudi Arabia, a great guy. I was with the Emir of Qatar. I was with the great leadership of UAE. I was over there. We brought back $2 trillion and more. They ordered 200 planes, Boeings. They ordered so much, and they were great. But they all said essentially the same thing. They said, 1 year ago, you were a dead country, and now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world right now. The absolute hottest country in the world. There's nobody even close. Putin said that to me. We met in Alaska, had a good meeting. Then he went back and started sending drones into Kiev. I said, I thought we had a good meeting. But it's one of those things. But we were a dead country a year ago. And now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Think of that. You can be proud of that. And you must have felt like hell when you have a wife or a husband at home, and you used to read the numbers that we can't get people to join the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. You must have felt like, I have a job that nobody wants. That doesn't feel good. Well, now you have a job that is brimming over with people wanting it. They want it. And you're able to get a much higher quality because now you have your choice. You want so many. And we're going to have many, many people that aren't going to be able to join because of the fact that we don't need them at this moment. But think of it, what a difference that is from, I could just imagine 2 years ago, you're reading front page articles in the New York Times, of course, and Wall Street Journal. They always give us unfair stories. But they played it so big. They were playing it so big. Nobody wants to join the Army, the Marines, the Air Force. They don't want to join. They don't want to join the Coast Guard at all. Nobody wants to join. Nobody wants to join our police forces. Our police forces also. It almost went hand in hand. And I used to say, boy, I'm speaking in front of the military today, and it's embarrassing because I'm speaking in front of people who have a job that other people don't want, but now you have a job that everybody wants. So I think that has to make you feel good. It's one of the reasons I love being here today, because I wanted to say that. I have to say that. Everybody wants to be in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines. If you think the Coast Guard and Space Force, our beautiful Space Force. It's a whole different world. And now they're signing up, by the way, seriously big numbers for the police. Dangerous job, isn't it, huh? Fire department. But that's the paving the way for progress once thought almost impossible. I mean, a year ago, you wouldn't have thought that was possible. A year ago, they were talking about making the military smaller because they can't get the people to join. We're thinking about making it larger because we have so many people. And it's nice to be able to cut people because of merit that aren't really qualified for any reason, a physical reason, a mental reason. You don't have to take them anymore because you have the pick of the litter, and they all want to be with you. They all want your job. They want to be with you. They want to work with you. They'll even take your job, you know. Got to be a little bit sharp. You got to watch it. But everybody wants to be doing what you're doing now. What a difference when I speak to you, and I can say that as opposed to a couple of years ago when I was talking to rooms where they were desperate to get people and they couldn't get them. What a difference a presidential election can make. That's all it is. It's just a presidential election. Yesterday at the White House, we put forward a plan for peace in Gaza. We announced it, and we're going to create something that was my idea, but unfortunately I got drafted. It's going to be called the Board of Peace, and it's going to reign over that territory, and we're going to get that done. And they asked if I'd be the chairman of the Board of Peace. I wasn't counting on that. I had the idea for the Board of Peace, but I said yes, and I guess because of that, every leader, everybody wants to be on the Board of Peace, and we're going to watch over that very volatile part of the world and keep it non-volatile, so you don't have to get involved. We want to save you for other things or save you for nothing from that standpoint. We don't want you fighting wars, but if you have to, you're the most lethal fighting force in the world. And I would say that even 2-3 years ago, but now I say it with great enthusiasm. It's so true. And we're striving tirelessly to end the terrible war in Ukraine. And as you know, we're also working hard to get the allies to share more of the burden of our defense. Much of that has really already taken place. But all NATO members have committed to the increase that I talked about. Think of that. That was unthinkable. It used to be 1%, then we got it up to 2% in my last term. And they did not like it. And now I got it to 5%, and I get along great with all of them. In fact, they call me the president of NATO. I said, I don't think so. But they're great. They're great people, and they're spending a lot of money, and a lot of money that they should have been spending in the past. But I think Putin was a wake-up call for them, really. We're now selling large quantities of American-made weapons to NATO, and we're getting really fair pricing. We're making a lot of money. It's my hope that from Europe to Asia to the Middle East, our allies will make similar commitments to increase their military capabilities. And this will greatly strengthen our alliances, and also it'll make war far less likely. You know, if you're a strong presence like we are such a strong presence now. And I go around bragging about that. I've said, we have the strongest military anywhere in the world. I say it. You never heard Biden say that. You never heard him say anything. But you never heard him say, did you ever hear him say, we have the strongest military? He doesn't say that. I say it. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world. We have great leadership. And I'll tell you, Pete and General Kane, and all of the people that I've met that have been lifted up in rank. And we got many of them out of here, too. I'll be honest with you. Didn't like doing it, but we got many of you out of here because we weren't satisfied. We know everything about everybody. It'll also help the United States rapidly rebuild our defense industrial base. Each of you can play an important part in getting allies to do their part. So to that end, Secretary Hegseth will soon be announcing major reforms to streamline military acquisitions and expedite foreign military sales. We have tremendous numbers of countries that want to buy our equipment, and you know, in many cases it takes too long. They have backlogged. We're backlogged on all the equipment, which is something that's new to us a little bit. And I told those companies, you better get your ass going because we're selling you a lot of equipment. We're getting countries to buy your equipment. You got to produce the equipment. Some of the countries, I'm not going to mention, but some of the countries are buying a lot And that's a good thing. They're on our side 95%. I'll never say 100% because it can always turn, right? You know about that. But they're on our side. The problem is we have to get the companies that make this equipment, and we make the best equipment in the world, but they got to make it faster. We have orders for the F-35. We have orders for everything. The new F-47. We have orders for everything. They got to make it faster, a lot faster. Ammunition they have to make faster. In the coming months, we'll be making even more historic announcements to fully embrace the identity of the Department of War. I love the name. I think it's so great. I think it stops wars. The Department of War is going to stop wars. If we are as ruthless and relentless as our enemies, the United States Armed Forces will be totally unmatched in the future. We have a group of enemies that are very ruthless and very smart, but they can't match us. They can't match us. They don't even come close to matching us. Again, you know, it's very important for me to say we are the greatest military in the world, but we make the best equipment in the world. I watched our anti-missile missiles. I watched our Patriots just knock things out like a needle, hitting another needle on the stage. There's a needle up there, and you send another needle up, and it hits it every time. During the war, we went 14 for 14. We had 14, this is with Iran, we had 14 missiles coming at us. All 14 were knocked out of the sky, every one of them. We make the best equipment. From Sparta to Rome, to the British Empire, to the United States of America, history has shown that military supremacy has never been simply a matter of money or manpower. At the end of the day, it is the culture, spirit of our military that truly sets us apart from any other nation. Our ultimate strength will always come from the fierce people and those brilliant people with such pride and the unbending will and the traditions of excellence that have made us the most unstoppable force ever to walk the face of the earth. And that's what we are. Remember, we never want to use it, but we have the most powerful nuclear capability, and I call it nuclear deterrent of any other country. Nobody close. The men and women in this room inherit the legacy built and won by Washington and Jackson, Grant and Pershing, Eisenhower and Patton, Nimitz and LeMay. We carry forward the majestic military heritage passed down from father to son, soldier to soldier, and one generation of warriors to the next. You are warriors, you know that, right? You're great warriors, or you wouldn't be in this room. You're the best of the best. From Concord Bridge to Fort McHenry, from Gettysburg to Manila Bay, from Normandy to Sicily, and from the jungles of Vietnam to the dusty streets of Baghdad, America's military has charged into hellfire, climbed up jagged mountains, crossed roaring oceans, and thundered across open deserts to defend our flag, our freedom, and our homeland. Nobody does it like you. Now we are discovering American muscle, reasserting American might, and beginning the next story chapter in American military legends and lore. That's L-O-R-E. It is lore. When it comes to defending our way of life, nothing will slow us. No enemy will stop us. They cannot stop us. And no adversary will stand in our way. They won't stand in our way. We don't want them to stand in our way. We don't want to even put them in that position, but they're not going to stand in our way ever again. You'll never see 4 years like we had with Biden and that group of incompetent people that ran this country that should have never been there. Because we had the United States military, the best, the boldest, the bravest that the world has ever seen, that the world has ever known. With leaders like we have right here in this beautiful room today, we will vanquish every danger and crush every threat to our freedom in every generation to come, because we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. I want to just thank you once again, and God bless the United States military, and God bless America. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was President Trump addressing a rare gathering of U.S. military leaders who'd been summoned from around the world. We're going to show you in a minute what Pete Hegseth said, Secretary Hegseth said. Hold on, I'm going to switch to, let me switch to the other video so we can see him walking off. Here's him, here is President Trump right there. All right, so in a moment, I'm going to show you what Defense Secretary of War / Secretary of Defense Hegseth said earlier. Oh, hold on. Nope, nothing else happening. I don't know if there were any major announcements or policy changes. I did notice at one point he seemed to say that I think he said something like that he had signed some sort of order for some sort of rapid force to quell domestic disturbances. It's kind of just gone over quickly. So it wasn't something he lingered on. But I noticed that a lot of the, I mean, I think if you watch President Trump regularly, a lot of the things in the speech were things he says in other speeches. There were a lot of, these passages that he has said in other speeches. Let's see here. I want to take some comments from you guys. By the way, a couple quick thank yous here. Thank you so much for your support. AZ Intel's dad, Miss Gem, NYC B-Ball, Josh Barnes, Shireen Marshall, Tampa Storm, Local Dial Tone, Hebrew Jerusalem Prince, TJ, Lorna Landgren, D. Maynard, Jorthio, Milak Bay Food and Travel Videos, Just a Plumber, Chaos McCain, Dream Squad HD, Ryan William, P.A. Jeeper, Creek Dreamer, Jason Stork, Emma Pasquale, Shaft, Metaguide, Cardinal Glick, Donna O'Farrell, CD, Hebrew Jerusalem Prince, Gabriel Morrow, Allison Poroshin, and Don K. Sneezing Eagle, Scruffy Huffy. Thanks for your support. Again, we're going to show you what Pete Hegseth had to say in a minute. I didn't even realize these were going to be televised. I'm sorry I didn't get on the air earlier. That's my bad. That is my bad. I thought it was going to be like a private meeting, a private speech to them, but it was not private. Thanks, Guy from the 207 on Twitch, Notorious Rob on Twitch, Rivertown Creations on Twitch. And shout out to our moderators who are here. We have moderating right now. Ruth Krafasi over on YouTube is moderating. Thank you, Ruth. And Janet B., thank you so much. On Twitch, Big Ball of Yarn, DeBears, Idaho Star, Sarah, and Papa Bear. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X, and on Facebook. Thanks to our moderators over there. Hang on a moment. Hang on a moment. I appreciate all of our moderators who are there on Facebook now. Thank you. We came. Oh, hold on. I haven't put up the. I haven't put up on the screen the graphic. We came on so fast to cover this. Is this the one? Oops. There we go. All right. Let me read some comments here from you guys about the speech. D-Tom USA says, we love Trump, we love America, we love our great republic, we love our great military. JMC thinks they did a public speech for smoke and mirrors and will have a private meeting with no press to talk about the real reason they are there. That's what JMC thinks. I also don't know if the original plan was to have Trump to speak. I don't know. I mean, originally it was reported that Pete Hegseth, Secretary Hegseth, was going to speak, and he had summoned them from around the world. I don't know if the original plan was for Trump to speak or if Trump ended up deciding to speak. That I do not know. Peter Rasmussen thinks there will probably be quite a few who throw away their uniforms after Mr. Trump's speech on the podium. Squid Vicious MMA thought it was a classic Trump stump speech. There was a lot of stuff. I'm guessing most of the stuff, it seemed to me, was from stuff you hear in a lot of his speeches, a lot of his recent speeches. Thank you, Sean, for the gift membership. The Red Queen thought it was a great speech. The Red Queen says, keep our own country safe, about time. Thanks also to Fred Flintstone for the gift memberships. Thank you, Fred. Do you guys want to see the Pete Hegseth speech? I haven't even watched the Pete Hegseth speech. I don't think it was as long as President Trump's speech. We're going to see it at some point. Yeah, I'm going to show that in a moment. I'm going to show it in a moment. I have it right here. All right, in a minute, we'll take a few more comments, and then I will show you the Pete Hegseth speech. Actually, Hegseth spoke. Oh, he spoke for longer than I thought. No, it wasn't. Wow. It was longer than I thought. All right, we're going to run it after. We'll run it after we take some more comments. It's longer than I thought it was. Yeah, it was about 40, 45 minutes. Also, President Trump is supposed to do some sort of, just so people know, on President Trump's schedule today is an announcement. But the Washington Post is reporting that President Trump is going to announce a drug pricing agreement with Pfizer. So I think that's what's going to be what the announcement is about. Reuters is reporting the same thing. Let me show you this real quick so you know. So I think he's going to do it right when he gets back to the White House. So we might just show that because, hold on a second here. Hang on one moment. Because I think if we're on the air, we might as well show it. Yes, so look, this, just so you know, Trump to announce, one moment here, Trump to announce Pfizer drug cuts. See? So I think that when he gets back to the White House, he's going back to the White House now. That's going to be the announcement. Reuters says that President Trump will announce today that Pfizer plans to lower prices on several of its medications in the U.S., a White House official said. The White House is also planning to unveil a direct-to-consumer website for Americans to buy drugs called Trump RX. Whoa. Reuters says the White House is planning to unveil a direct-to-consumer website for Americans to buy drugs called Trump RX. I just saw that myself. Wall Street Journal posted it as well. The Wall Street Journal has the same story. President Trump is going to announce a direct-to-consumer website dubbed Trump RX for Americans to buy medication. All right, I just saw that. I think he's announcing that today. I think he's announcing it soon. Thank you, by the way, to Sean Morris, who says, if something big is happening behind the scenes, the press won't be told until all the soldiers and commanders are back at their posts. Some of our viewers think that something else big is happening with the military leaders. I haven't heard anything reported. We'll have to see. So on the White House schedule, just so people know, on the White House schedule for today, President Trump was supposed to arrive at the White House at 10:40, back from Quantico. Then he was supposed to make an announcement 20 minutes after that. But he's obviously not going to arrive at the White House at 10:40 because he just finished. So, but I guess when he gets back, he's going to make this announcement. I'm actually looking at, did he already get to, I'm looking at a feed which I can't show you of him at Quantico. Oh, hold on. I can show you the feed. I can show you the feed. Hold on a moment. I have the feed of the helipad at Quantico. Give me a second. Is this going to work? Is it going to work? Here it is. It's Quantico, Virginia. Wait. Let me put it on the screen for you. It's right there. There it is. That's live via AFP. So he's heading back to the White House. It looks like has he not gotten on the helicopter yet, maybe? Because it looks like. Oh. All right, so we just watched Trump's address, which you can rewind and watch. He's about to head back to the White House from Quantico, and then when he gets back there, he's supposed to do an announcement on drug prices and also Trump RX. Oh, look, there he is. I see him. There's Trump. There is Trump. He's walking towards the helicopter. On the right there. If they would pan over, we can see him. Now he's going up the helicopter, but they're not seeing it. The camera's missing it on the right. Oh, no. Oh, the camera didn't pan over until too late. Oh, there he is. Oh, they're having an issue with the camera now. Well, we saw a little bit of him. We had a bit of him. We got a bit of him. Now the camera's having an issue. They lost the camera shot. Well, we got to see him get out of the car. At least we can tell you with confidence that he got out, that he is heading back to the White House. I think what happened is they had to zoom in. When you zoom in so much, you lose. Oh, here. Oh, now is he replaying? Are we replaying it? Oh, now the camera's back. The camera's back. Trump is actually on the helicopter now. This is a short ride. I want to say it's about 30 miles between Quantico and D.C. This is not a long, it's not crazy short, but it's not a long helicopter ride. Yeah, about 30 miles. From what I understand, Marine One's top speed, well, I'm looking online and it says Marine One helicopters, one article says they fly from around a top speed of 150 to 190 miles an hour. Depends on the model. All right, Trump is taking off, heading back to the White House. So we can confirm, because we're watching it, that Trump is heading back to the White House. Ghoulish thinks it goes about 120 miles an hour. So, by the way, is RX pronounced RX? I guess it's RX. So President Trump's I guess he's going to announce Trump RX today. It's an abbreviation for prescriptions, but I was asking how it's pronounced. Hey, thanks to our member, Lise Levac. We are watching Trump head back to the White House. We're watching this take off. Two of them. Thank you, Memnon. Memnon thought the speech was a nothing burger. Thanks, Memnon, for your support. Yes, the Trump speech is over, but you can rewind and watch it. The Trump speech is over. You can rewind and watch it. But I think we might cover his announcement when he gets back to the White House. So, there we go. There they go. All right. I want to see. I might just change the title of this while we wait for the announcement. Hold on a moment here. All right. So let's go back to me. Let's go back to me for a second. Probably see him landing. So again, you can see multiple outlets are saying, Reuters says the White House is planning to unveil. Yes, Trump today is going to announce two things when he gets back to the White House. He's going to announce that Pfizer plans to lower bright prices on several of its medications in the United States. And also, the White House is planning to unveil a direct-to-consumer website for Americans to buy drugs called Trump RX. Pfizer will launch sales of some of its drugs direct to consumers through that website. Okay, so I think what I want to do is we're going to keep the coverage going. But what I need to do, we're going to cover him when he gets back to the White House, is I want to update the title for the moment and say, so I have a question for you guys. While we're waiting for Trump to speak, do you guys want to see the Hegseth? I mean, I don't know that we're going to see the whole Hegseth speech. The Hegseth speech was 40 minutes long. I haven't even watched it yet. We can show that, or we can just talk about some different things. Why don't we talk about some different things while we're waiting? Let's talk about some different things while we're waiting. There's other things to talk about. But I need a second. To change the title. Trump announces Trump RX website live breaking news coverage. Okay. President Trump reportedly will announce shortly a new Trump RX website. And the story is that it'll sell for Americans to buy drugs. And also will announce that Pfizer is lowering prices on several medications. Join us for live coverage of President Trump's announcement Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, for the moment, because we're going to cover this, so I'm going to change this. We're going to have that coming up from the White House soon. Coming up, Trump announces Trump RX drug website. I have to make the X small, or it doesn't make sense on the headline. Is that better? No, it should be. I'm gonna do it like this. There. Then people will see. Trump RX. See? That's how it should look. All right, so let me just adjust the title. Then when we're finished, I'll put the original title back on so people know that they can see the military speech here. But for the moment, I'm going to change this. And let me just, I'll even change the graphic. I'll even change the graphic. Give me 2 seconds. Oopsie. The new graphic is ready. So bonus coverage coming up shortly. It's now, but shortly we will have this announcement for you. All right, now let me put my new graphic over my shoulder. Thanks for bearing with me as we switch the graphic and switch the title. Okay, now I have my new graphic up. I'm going to put that up for you. If I can find it here. Look, there's the graphic. Okay, good. And let me just adjust the title where I can. At least adjust it on Twitch. Oopsie. Oh, I think we'll be able to watch Trump land at the White House. I think? Let me check that for you. Maybe I can show you that right now. Yeah, I think we're going to see Trump. I think we're going to see him arrive at the White House. And let me just post on our social media that we are going to have this coverage. We are continuing our live stream and will shortly be covering Trump announcing a new Trump RX website. And okay, done. Whew. Thanks for bearing with me as I change all that. Why not cover it? We're on the air. We're on the air, so let's cover that. Memnon says, will the Trump website have My Pillow ads? That I don't know if it'll have any ads on it. Hey, thank you, Memnon, for your support. Toroidal Moment says, big, beautiful drugs. Martin Gingrich says, proud to be an American right now. There was a 6.9 earthquake in the Philippines. I haven't heard that much about it. I will keep an eye out for more updates for you. That happened, I want to say like 45 minutes ago or something like that. I got to check on it. There was a 6.9 about an hour ago. Just real quick. You can see 6.9. That's from USGS in the Philippines. And they say, USGS, that they are estimating, they estimate most likely between 1 in 10 fatalities or between 10 and 100 fatalities. Let's hope it's lower. Let's hope it's 0 to 1. They say most likely economic losses between 10 and $100 million. So thoughts with everybody in the Philippines impacted by that. Oh, hold on a second here. Okay. Thank you for being with us. We're waiting for Trump to get back to the White House. Shortly after he returns to the White House, he's supposed to do this announcement. And we're going to have that for you live. Okay? And also, thank you, DG83, our new member. Thank you. And also... regarding the shutdown. So, hang on a moment here. Regarding the possible government shutdown, I want to mention something about that. As you can see here, it says, AP, U.S. government on brink of first shutdown in almost 7 years amid partisan standoff. The government will shut down at 12:01 a.m. That'd be tomorrow. I mean, tonight. It's basically tonight. It's tonight at 12:01 a.m., so it's technically tomorrow. 12:01 a.m., a minute after midnight tonight, the government will shut down. If there's no agreement, if the Senate does not pass a House measure that would extend federal funding for 7 weeks while lawmakers finish their work on annual spending bills. So I do want to mention something. Normally, I would cover that live. I am going to be traveling tonight. By tomorrow, I'm going to be traveling overnight. by tomorrow, I will be where I am going, and I am bringing my agenda-free TV stuff with me. I will be in Madrid for a little bit. But as I normally do, I'm bringing my portable setup with me, so I will be able to bring you agenda-free TV coverage from there, as I have done in the past in other locations. But I will not be able to do a live stream, a live shutdown stream. So if you're sitting there at midnight saying, why isn't he on the air? That is why I'm not on the air. It's because I'll be on a plane. Okay? So I'm sorry for not being able to cover the shutdown live tonight, but that's why. But again, I'll have my portable set up with me. I can do news coverage from there. Also, for those who might be interested, this is a little bit of a side thing. I do have a second channel, which is a personal channel, where, like, when I travel, I'll do some stuff from there, like on Madrid stuff. So if you've any interest in that, you can follow me on my personal channel. Been so busy, we haven't been on there much lately because it's been so busy with the news. That's called Lookner. I'll put the link in the website, but I'll be doing a few live streams, shorter live streams on that channel while I'm there. So if you're interested, you don't have to do it, but if you want to check it out, you can check it out. Oh, and on Twitch, it's called Look Nerd. On Twitch, it's Look Nerd, not Look Nerd. Okay? Okay. But again, I want to emphasize, I will have I bring a portable setup with me, and my intention is to cover all the big news I would normally cover, even though I'm there. That's the intention. That is the intention. Okay? Oh, did I miss him landing? I don't even know if I had him landing. Did President Trump get back to the White House? One of our viewers said President Trump landed. Did he land? Are you sure? Did anyone see him land? Oh, hold on. All right, so that being said, and by the way, if there is a shutdown starting tonight, maybe we'll do a stream on it like tomorrow. Probably be a little later tomorrow. Oh, thank you, AZ Intel's dad, by the way. So if there's a shutdown that's going on, we can cover it while I'm away. Thank you, Louis R. I appreciate it. Thank you, Vincent Button. No, Vincent, I did not even know. This is I said this before, to be totally honest, I didn't know that Trump and Hegseth's speeches this morning were televised. If I had known, I would have come on the air earlier and covered both of them. So we didn't see Hegseth speak, and he spoke for about 40 minutes, but I think I'm going to hold off on playing it right now because we're going to talk about what we're covering with Trump. Because we have Trump coming up from the White House, again, announcing his Trump RX drug website and supposedly also some Pfizer drug cuts in the U.S. So I haven't even seen that. So I do apologize. That's on me. I did not realize that it was going to be televised. I was looking into it last night and I didn't look into it well enough. Again, I just didn't realize it was going to be actually on the air. So I'm glad I got to show the Trump speech. Thank you, Pepe, by the way. Pepe says, Trump RX seems like a good idea as it seems like a public option, but shouldn't this have to go through Congress? Thanks also to Millennial Diligence and Empty Man 72 and Jordan B. Hold on a second here. what I have to do is normally, I need 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds while I leave this on the screen. I'm going to disappear for 10, give me 10 to 15 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds, one moment. Now we're back. Now we're back. Did I thank you, Jordan B? Jordan B said Trump RX has a landing page. I got to check this. I got to check this out. Thank you, Get Triggered, who I don't think I thanked before. Michael Kazich. I think I thanked Michael in the chat before. Thanks, Michael Kazich. Also, Stoic Pause. Thank you, Stoic Pause, for your support. Now, once I have video from the Oval Office, once I have video from the White House, I will put it on the screen. Waiting to get the video from the White House. I looked at trumprx.gov. I don't see anything there. When I put in trumprx.com to my... Hey, techie people, when I put trumprx.com into my browser address panel box, it changes to trumprx.com/lander. What does that mean? What does that mean? Maybe that sounds like a question for AI. It's a domain forward, but does that mean like it's like the page to be? I mean, it's redirect. People are saying it's redirecting. People think it's an unfinished page, some people say. I mean, that sounds like it, but it's .com. Gemini AI says it could be newer under construction, marketing campaign, technical setup. Anyways. But it's not .gov, it's .com. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know if Trump, maybe somebody bought trumprx.com and it's just somebody who owns it, a private person, because it's not I don't know. I put in trumprx.gov and I didn't get anything, so I tried trumprx.com. Oh, President Trump actually is back at the White House. He is back at the White House. I can confirm that. I didn't have video of it, but he is back at the White House. So very soon we're expected to have Trump's announcement. Our viewer Suku thinks TrumpRx.com is a random buyer. Maybe somebody snapped it up recently. I don't know. So people like me would go there. Hey, thanks to our moderators, Janet B., Ruth Krafasi moderating over on YouTube, Beth Mythical, thank you so much. Also on Twitch, Big Ball of Yarn, Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire. Sarah and Papa Bear, thank you so much for moderating. Hey, thanks Gloria Marie for subscribing on Facebook. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. And Margaret Riley's moderating. Kay Lowry Body's moderating. Thank you. They're both subscribing as well. They both subscribe as well. Hey, Joel Heller. Thanks, Joel, for the stars on Facebook. Thanks, Jennifer Ellers, for subscribing. Thanks, RJ Mercado. Thanks, RJ Mercado, for subscribing on Facebook. And Robert Rial II and all of our other subscribers over there. Okay, if you missed Trump's speech to the military leaders, you can rewind this stream and you can watch it. I am waiting to get the video from the White House. Again, Reuters and the Wall Street Journal are both reporting this. Reuters says the White House is planning to unveil today a direct-to-consumer website for Americans to buy drugs called Trump RX. Also, President Trump will announce today that Pfizer plans to lower prices on several of its medications in the U.S. Pfizer will launch sales of some of its drugs directly to consumers through the Trump RX website. Also, Pfizer will announce a $70 billion push on R&D, research and development, and domestic manufacturing. Trump sent letters to 17 leading drug companies in July, telling them to slash drug prices to match those paid overseas, a policy the president has called most favored nation pricing. He asked them to respond with binding commitments by yesterday, by September 29th. Pfizer would be the first company to announce a deal. The U.S. has been engaged in one-on-one talks with the drug companies. Last month, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said at a cabinet meeting that Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick was using the threat of tariffs on the drug industry as additional leverage. Reuters also says Trump signed a sweeping executive order in May demanding that drug makers cut U.S. medicine prices to match those abroad, saying if companies did not comply, the government could use rulemaking to bring prices down or pursue other measures, such as importing cheaper medicines from overseas. U.S. patients pay by far the most for prescription medicines, often nearly 3 times more than in other developed nations. The U.S. also invests heavily in pharmaceutical research and development. Drug makers have said that drastic price cuts would stifle innovation. Hold on a second here. Some of our viewers mentioned this. They mentioned Mark Cuban's drug website. Mark Cuban co-founded, it's the Mark Cuban Cost Plus Drug Company, doing business as Cost Plus Drugs. They are focused on the pharmacy distribution of drugs with a stated goal to lower the prices for generic drugs by removing middlemen. such as pharmacy benefit managers, and moving to a cost-plus drugs pricing strategy. A couple of our viewers mentioned this. The drugs are sold for a price equivalent to the company's cost plus 15% markup, a $5 pharmacy service fee, and a $5 shipping fee. Cost plus pricing strategy, says Wikipedia, is a pricing strategy by which the selling price of a product is determined by adding a specific fixed percentage, a markup to the product's unit cost. I don't know if the Trump RX site is going to be similar to that. We'll see what President Trump has to say. We're waiting for this announcement from the White House. Gen X says Mark Cuban is a private citizen, not the U.S. president. Loss says, why are people hating? If it's legit, this is good. Yeah, I believe this is going to be a government website. Jason Santoro wrote in before that Trump called Putin a paper tiger again. Will Russia respond? Did he use the word paper tiger? I don't remember that. But there were times during the speech I had to do a couple things here. For example, with the sound and stuff like that. So I don't catch every single thing. I miss stuff sometimes. Oh, Carolyn Levitt posted about this. I missed this. Anyways, thank you, Jason Santoro, for writing in. Hey, Autism Mommy mentioned to me. I hadn't even seen this because this happened. This came out during the speech, Trump's speech. Carolyn Levitt said, happening today at the White House is planning to unveil a direct-to-consumer website. Yeah, it's just the Wall Street Journal report. She just reposted the Wall Street Journal. I told you this before, that the Wall Street Journal reported this. So she reposted the Wall Street Journal report, saying that the White House is planning to unveil a direct-to-consumer website for Americans to buy drugs dubbed Trump RX, as well as announce that Pfizer plans to lower prices on several of its medications in the U.S. Did he say paper tiger today? Hi says he did. Sorry I missed that specific mention. Thank you, I Am Fatness, for your support. I appreciate it. Uh, 33 minutes ago, one of our viewers mentioned this, thanks for mentioning it. 33 minutes ago, Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst in New Jersey said that there is a personnel lockdown there. All personnel are to lock down until further notice. All personnel outdoors should take cover. Now, that was 33 minutes ago. I haven't heard any reporting about this since then. Again, that was 33 minutes ago. So I'm hoping it's, I don't know what it is, but I don't know what it is. I'm hoping everybody's okay there. I'm looking for updates, like news updates about it, and I'm not seeing anything. Again, that was over a half an hour ago. Did they post something else about it? Anyways, I'll keep you posted if I hear anything more. Our viewer... Oh, hold on a second. I'm not going to mention that, but thank you. I'm not going to mention that right now. Okay, as of 10 minutes ago, just an update. The White House press reporter, the White House press pool reporter, Christian DeTalk just mentioned that 10 minutes ago, Secretaries Lutnick and Kennedy walked out onto the colonnade and met Trump at 11:25. They are still outside chatting, and Poole is holding on the south lawn. President Trump said he's going to have, when he landed, coming back from Quantico, he said he would have a news conference in the Oval Office. That is coming up. That's what we're waiting for right now. He said, I think it's one of the biggest things we'll do. We'll be reducing drug prices by 100% in some cases, 300% or more. I don't think he really means 300%. I don't know how he could reduce it by 300%. And 100% is free, as Sweet Shot means. But maybe he means a large amount. I saw this reported a couple places here. I just want to let you know about this. I thought this was interesting. As we get close to a government shutdown, which would start at 12:01 a.m., if you go to the Housing and Urban Development website for the government, HUD.gov, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, I'm going to show you what you get. This is the Housing and Urban Development website. The radical left are going to shut down the government and inflict massive pain on the American people unless they get their 1.5 trillion wish of demands. The Trump administration wants to keep the government open for the American people. That is currently the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development website. HUD.gov. Okay. You can go there to see it yourself if you want. Regarding the military base at Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst in New Jersey, it is on lockdown. That was announced 40 minutes ago. They announced that they were on lockdown. But I have not seen any more updates from the base or from any kind of news outlet that I would consider reliable. Hey, thanks to the world famous Lily Pichu, who I've said before, I don't think it's the world famous Lily Pichu, but thank you so much, the world famous Lily Pichu, for the memberships. So we are waiting for the announcement at the White House. It was originally supposed to scheduled for 11 a.m., but I think President Trump ran a little late getting back, going to and getting back from Quantico. But any moment now, we should get a video, we should get live shot from the White House where Trump's going to make this announcement. Hey, look, you can see it right here. Trump to announce drug pricing deal with Pfizer and new Trump RX website. This is from the Washington Post. President Trump today, shortly, will announce an agreement with pharmaceutical giant Pfizer to voluntarily sell its medications through Medicaid at lower prices. The White House will also unveil a new website dubbed Trump RX to allow direct-to-consumer sales of medications at discounted rates, the administration said in a statement. The announcements are part of the White House's push to secure most favored nation pricing deals with pharmaceutical manufacturers in an effort to link U.S. drug prices to the lowest cost of drugs paid by the wealthiest countries. Trump in May signed an executive order that laid out the initiative, and administration officials have been negotiating with pharmaceutical companies in a bid to get them to voluntarily lower their prices. The deadline for those voluntary agreements was Monday. Trump has long argued that the U.S. government spends too much on medications and pursued a similar drug pricing plan during his first term. His administration has sought to pressure the pharmaceutical industry through a mix of tariffs and new initiatives, such as several pilot programs being developed by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services that could impose new drug pricing controls in the Medicare program, according to 4 sources. Trump sent letters in July to 17 pharmaceutical companies calling on them to lower their drug prices within 60 days. A White House spokesman said Democrats talked the talk for decades about drug prices, but only President Trump is actually walking the walk. The pharmaceutical industry has sought to blunt Trump's demands by making concessions. The industry's main lobbying group on Monday announced voluntary steps that it said would support Trump's goals, including a new website intended to help Americans shop for lower-priced drugs. Pfizer also plans to announce a $70 billion investment in research and development and domestic manufacturing, the White House said. Democrats have said they share Trump's goals for lower drug prices, but have criticized his reliance on executive orders to achieve them and called for comprehensive legislation. Senator Bernie Sanders on Monday issued a report that found 87 drugs increased in price after Trump sent the letters to drug manufacturers. Oh, hold on a second. I have an update for you. Anyways, that's from the Washington Post. The White House press pool, as of 5 minutes ago, is moving inside the White House ahead of this event, this Trump announcement. Yes, Matthew, I believe it is going to be a website you can order from. People keep talking about that military base. We have talked about it a couple times. A military base was locked down in New Jersey. It is now 46 minutes ago. Fox said the lockdown was for an active shooter. I have not heard of any kind of confirmed report of an active shooter there. I haven't heard any news outlets say there was definitely a shooting. The base has not updated since 46 minutes ago. I will let you know if I get more information. Hang on. Yes, the White House website has gone. The White House, thanks. One of our viewers mentioned the White House went live with their feed. I should have a feed for beforehand from the maybe before the announcement, but I don't have that yet. Let me just throw this on the screen. Thanks for mentioning the White House going live on their social media. What I need to do is, here, look, see? We will begin shortly. Hang on a second here. Thank you, Actea, for your support. Who says, is government shutdown really news anymore? Politician grandstanding. Well, it could impact a bunch of people. Also, I mean, there could be significant impacts on Americans if the government shuts down. Also, you know, another thing is the Trump administration is threatening, if there's a government shutdown, to lay off a lot of government workers. That's a whole other thing. But we can maybe talk about that more later. Thank you, Dean R., for being a member. Guys, I'm going to say this again. I have seen no report that there actually is a shooter. This is one of these things where you need to be careful with this stuff. We have all these people posting in our chat saying active shooter. When you post stuff like this, you need to be careful, more careful about what you're saying in our chat and saying to other people. As I have said repeatedly, a little less than an hour ago, a base in New Jersey said there is a lockdown. I believe Fox News said it was over a possible active shooter. I have seen no reporting yet that there's actually a shooter. So when you say in the chat there is an active shooter and you're alarming people, and you need to be careful when you post this stuff. Oh, hold on. We're going live. We're going live right now. Right now. Hold on. President Trump's in the Oval Office. Wait.
And this is other fantastic news for you because it's going to be a lowering of medical prices, drug prices, like in the history of our country has never happened before. It's favored nations, if you know what that means, but we'll talk about it. Today, I'm thrilled to announce that.
One moment. Where's the volume for this one? Is their volume not working in the White House? Is their feed not have volume? Well, here we go. I'm putting the other feed on. Here we go.
Today, I'm thrilled to announce that one of the world's largest pharmaceutical manufacturers and one of the best anywhere in the world. That, but it went on for many years, decades. And it's not going on any longer. We're going to be paying the lowest price now. We're going to be paying whatever the lowest price is. Favored nations. This will save American
Did the White House fix their audio?
Consumers hundreds of millions of dollars a year. I want to thank for drugs, and a lot of excuses were made for that, but went on for many years. People in the industry and in business generally, I will say that, Albert, for joining us today, along with Secretary, as you know, we've got a number of secretaries. Secretary is Lutnick behind me, I hope. Where's Lutnick?
He's over here, to the right.
You can get over here. I'm looking for Lutnick, our great Secretary of Commerce. Good, I'm glad you're here. You would have been in trouble. Howard Lutnick, great. Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., CMS Administrator, Mehmet Oz, Medicare Administrator Chris Klomp, and the FDA Commissioner, Marty McCary, and I just want to thank them all. They've been working hard on many, many things. I think this is one of the biggest medical announcements that this office has ever made, because we're talking about price reductions, as you'll see in a couple of minutes, that are incredible. For many years, Americans have paid the highest prices anywhere in the world for prescription drugs. They paid far more, 10 times, 13 times, 15 times more than other countries for the exact same product. A major reason is that the American consumers have been subsidizing research and development costs for the entire planet. They put all of that on us, and yet they were the beneficiaries too. So it's being changed as of today. The United States at just 4% of the world's population and consumers, only 13% of all prescription drugs, yet pharmaceutical companies make 75% of their profits from the United States. So think of that. We have 4% of the market. 13% of prescription drugs, and yet, Albert, I didn't know you were that violent. I'm surprised you're agreeing to this.
I'm getting better.
Come here. No, he's doing the right thing. Thank you. And yet they make 75% of their profits from the American customers, so it's something. That's why I signed an executive order combating this practice, and we signed it very happily a little while ago. Today, Pfizer is committing, as will other drug companies as we go through the weeks. But Pfizer is truly one of the biggest in the world or one of the greatest in the world. Today, Pfizer is committing to offer all of their prescription medications to Medicaid, and it will be at the most favored nation's prices. It's going to have a huge impact on bringing Medicaid costs down like nothing else. I told you that in my first term, I was so proud of the fact that for the first time in 28 years, drug prices came down. And I had a news conference that I explained it was 1/10 of 1%, but it was down. And here we're talking about, in one case, over 1,000%. This is a critical step forward to our work and to improve health care, and hardworking, low-income Americans, especially low-income Americans, will be helped so greatly. In addition to current medications to all consumers at heavily discounted prices of anywhere between 50 and even 100%, and that's off the price. And in some cases, even more than that, these drugs will be available for direct purchase online at a website operated by the federal government. We're also announcing that moving forward, all new medications introduced by Pfizer to the American market will be sold at the reduced most favored nation cost. So we'll be paying essentially what other countries are paying, who have been much lower for many, many years. Furthermore, Pfizer will invest $70 billion to reshore domestic manufacturing facilities. In other words, they're going to bring a lot of their facilities to make their drugs and make what they make, their product. They're going to make it in the United States. I appreciate that $70 billion investment in fund research and development right here in America. We're working with other major pharmaceutical companies to secure similar agreements. Everyone understands that the status quo where Americans pay more for drugs, prescription drugs, and they pay more than foreign countries who take advantage of us in many other ways, although not so many anymore. Research and development right here in America. We're working with other major pharmaceutical companies to secure similar agreements. Everyone understands that the status quo where Americans pay more for drugs, prescription drugs, and they pay more than foreign countries who take advantage of us in many other ways, although not so many anymore. I think we've pretty well got that stopped, right? I think so. We've stopped that, but they took advantage of a lot of other presidents, that I can tell you. But we're making this pay to be very unacceptable, what they've done in the past. That's why my administration is also taking historic action to investigate the unfair and discriminatory trade practices of other countries that extort our pharmaceutical makers to shift costs onto the American consumer. They say, no, give us a price, a very low price, and just charge the American consumer, charge it to the U.S. The United States is done subsidizing the health care of the rest of the world. It's a big thing. I can't tell you how big this is. And I was all set to go on it first term, but then you had the COVID, and we had to focus on that. But I said, I want to get back here because you're talking about 14, 15, 1,600% reductions in some cases. But by taking this bold step, we're ending the era of global price gouging at the expense of American families, and we're making America healthy again, which is our little theme for the people behind me. And I want to just ask Secretary Kennedy to come up, and we'll start, and we'll go through it with Oz and Klomp and Bourla and McCary, and we'll go through it, and if you have any questions. But this is a really big announcement. This is something that most people said was not doable. And other countries are going along because we told them, if you don't go along, they didn't have to go along. But if they didn't go along, we were going to put extra tariffs on those countries, and we were going to charge them the amount of money that they should be paying for the reduction in costs. So I think we had a pretty good negotiating position. So, Bobby, I'd like you to speak about this, and what a great job, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to start by thanking a couple of people who aren't up here, Theo Merkel, Dr. Heidi Overton, who played key roles in this negotiation and helped make this happen. And also Inma Hernandez, who's not up here, but John Brook and Chris Klomp, who were the people who were negotiating, in some cases, I think including last night, 24 hours without any sleep. This would not have happened without President Trump's leadership. I told my son last night, we're all under secrecy about this, but I told my son late last night, a 27-year-old son, Connor, who's a very liberal Democrat, And I told him this was happening, and he just paused for a minute and he said, "Thank you, Dad, I'm so proud of you." Because this is something Democrats have wanted for 20 years, Republicans have wanted for 20 years. Everybody said they're going to do it. Nobody has even taken a step towards doing it. And the reason was because it was such a daunting task. And, you know, even all of the negotiators, you see, I also want to thank Howard Lutnick. This would not have happened without him. But even all of the negotiators here and all the people on at HHS and at the White House team, all we could see was all the reasons that this couldn't happen. Everybody had tried. Nobody could make it happen. And it was President Trump alone who, with his doggedness, his persistence, he saw this clearly in a way that none of us other, in its most simplest terms. Why are we spending more on this country than any other country? Why are we spending 75% of the revenues that come to the pharmaceutical industry? We're doing all the research, and everybody else is riding on our slipstream. And President Trump, I would say, harangued and harassed us to make this happen. I was getting calls at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. "Oh, are you asleep? And you got to get MFN done." And at one point, Dr. Oz told me, "I can't take the president's calls anymore." I have a lot of reasons, my wife has a lot of reasons to say to me about different things that happen in my life. "Doesn't that give you anxiety?" And I say, "I don't get anxiety. This gave me anxiety." Oh, thank you, President Trump. It would not have happened without your leadership. This is real leadership. It's a president who has a vision and makes that vision happen. And I can't think of any other president of the United States who could have done this in our history. I'm very grateful to you. This is an extraordinary benefit to the American people. Thank you for your vision, President Trump, your bold action, your unwavering commitment to health and well-being of the American people. Never has a president stood up so bravely for the American people with respect to health care. And by the way, I forgot to thank Albert Burla. Albert and I have had a long history of antipathy and antagonism toward each other. But I have to say his leadership in this took tremendous courage. And he really created a template for corporate responsibility, for putting public health ahead of his individual interests. So I'm very, very grateful to you for that, Albert. Under the leadership of President Trump, the U.S. government is now acting as a tough negotiator on behalf of the American people. Today is about fairness, it's about equality, it's about giving hope to those who are trying to stay healthy, who are managing illness, and who are fighting for their lives. We refuse to make the most vulnerable citizens continue to pay an unthinkable price for the world's pharmaceutical breakthroughs, which we pay for. This policy is a shield for the chronically ill who have carried the burden of high drug costs for far too long. It's a signal to every American family that we're finally putting their health and financial security first. And it sets a new standard, one that says we won't write blank checks to the drug industry any longer. No family should ever be forced to choose between filling a prescription and putting food on the table. Americans should not be gouged paying 300 or 400 or 1,000% more than people in other countries for the exact same drug, many times manufactured in the same factory in New Jersey and sold in Great Britain for 1/10 the price that it's being sold for here. This week, and I was with some friends up in Martha's Vineyard, and an old friend, one of my oldest friends, his wife and daughter have a chronic disease. And that chronic disease last year cost $150,000 to treat. And the mother had to choose whether she was going to take that money and spend it on her or her daughter. And she spent it on her daughter. So she had to make that choice. It's a choice that no mother should have to make. We did a roundtable recently on drug prices. One patient spent more than $180,000 on one drug. One cashed in all of her savings and worked 3 jobs to make ends meet. One almost quit her job and moved to Germany to get the drug cheaper. Some looked at getting the drug on unsafe secondary markets because they could not afford it through the legitimate markets. Today, we begin to right that ship. For the mother trying to help her child get better, for a grandmother at the pharmacy counter, and for millions of Americans who want to restore their health. Today is about another promise made by President Trump and another promise kept by President Trump to the American people. And it's only just the beginning. This is all thanks to your unwavering leadership, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There is a fine line between vision and hallucination. People have to follow you for it to be a vision. And President Trump, you made a lot of people following you on an idea that most people thought was not possible, even remotely. And when we have that shared vision, and I'll speak to some of the people who are involved in this process because it was incredible effort that gives me great pride to serve in this administration. And the fact that it did not leak is also an issue of pride for us because these were tough challenges. And Albert Bourla looks very calm up here and cat-like, but he is ferocious when you get him in a negotiating room. This is true for all the pharmaceutical companies that we are negotiating with. And Secretary Kennedy, my son Oliver, who I told about this deal as we was walking over here, is a Republican. And you know what he said? Thank you for making us proud. Because it's not just a Democratic problem, it's a Republican problem. This has not happened before. And it took a crusader like President Trump, with the support of Secretary Kennedy, Secretary Lutnick, I see the vice presidents here as well, just unwavering, dogged pursuit of change. And now I have to admit that I know the president has me on speed dial, and most of the time when he would call me, as Secretary Kennedy alluded to, it was about MFN, and he always had reasons why we needed to go faster and why people were being hurt today because we're allowing the kinds of pricing that had been tolerated for so many decades in America. The time of the day didn't matter, the day of the week didn't matter, and that's how the president was functioning. This was such an important part of what he saw as his legacy, which is why it brings such pride to all of us up here and many others to deliver it. And the laser focus that the president had on this, which he shared with me the day that I was nominated, that he nominated me for this position and has reminded me frequently since, made it a top priority for us as well at CMS. Now, to do this, you have to have tactics, not just vision, but tactics. And the first tactic the president shared was to introduce me to Albert Bourla. He took us to dinner with Secretary Kennedy, and he argued, and he's a great deal maker, as you know, that if you're going to make a deal of this scope, of this nature, you need trust. So the president lit the kindling, he got the embers going, but he needed us to nurture that beginning of a fire so they would blaze into what today we can announce as the grand deal, one of the greatest ever, certainly in the space of pharmaceuticals. I gained to respect Albert, and I'll tell you why in particular. It was because he recognized the dangerous problems facing so many Americans, that they had to choose between taking medications prescribed by their doctor that could be life-saving or shopping at the grocery store, paying for their kids a fundamentally important need that would be squeezed out because they couldn't compromise on drugs, or often worse, they compromise on the drugs. 1/3 of all prescriptions are not filled in the pharmacy because of this. We talked through the winter, we talked through the spring, we talked through the summer, and we got nowhere. We stalled. The industry is powerful, they're important, they have smart people. There's no reason for them to give the numbers that the president is articulating today. And you see these numbers on the charts around us. These are massive wins for the American people. But the president in July demanded, after the executive order, that manufacturers make a firm commitment and to lower prices or else. And it sent shockwaves through the industry. It got the ball rolling again. Our talks with Albert heated up, but it wasn't until last week, if you want an inside story, it wasn't until last week that we made a major breakthrough. And our hardworking team embarked on a remarkable story that I think books will be written about, 24/7 nonstop with industry, with Albert, with his great team at Pfizer. And with this partnership, we began to deal with the fundamental challenges we have, which is protecting medical advances for the future while at the same time securing the prices Americans want today. We're going to continue to stimulate and strengthen innovation. That's what a great country does, and we are a great country with a great leader. We're going to protect the U.S. hegemony in R&D. We dominate the planet in discovering cures for illnesses. All those orphan ailments, all those remarkable advances, they come from research labs here with companies like Pfizer and other great ones in the pharmaceutical space. We're going to lead in the life sciences. We're going to lead in ideas. And we're going to make sure that we do all that while we're being fair to the American people, especially our most vulnerable. We're going to finally deliver on the fair drug prices that President Trump has been speaking about for 2 terms. We're going to celebrate this historic day, I predict, this historic day in the medical field for generations to come. The heroic negotiators that I do feel compelled to mention, and Secretary Kennedy kindly also mentioned their names. Some of them can't be in here because they're busy negotiating future deals. Inma Hernandez-Delso, John Brooks, who's a deputy administrator of mine, Theo Merkel, who is in the back and tall and hard to miss with DPC, and Corey Enslin with the same group, did a spectacular job, and Don Dempsey at OMB. Just wonderful human beings, worked tirelessly to get this done. We were able to secure this first MFN deal, and the president touched on this, but we have much more to come. You'll be hearing breaking news from the president for the rest of the fall. And Mr. President, these brilliant minds are here because of you. Now, I don't want to just pay homage to this. I want to actually speak this a little bit. The passion to protect the American people brings top-tier Americans into the government. We've created a powerful administration with the president's leadership, an administration of winners. People get things done. They see the generational opportunity to fix the biggest problems our nation faces. And the person who led this negotiation, Chris Klump, embodies this seal. Now, Chris Klump came to visit Secretary Kennedy and I the very first day we were looking for staff to try to bring in the government. And neither of us really had an idea of how challenging this might be. And he came to the interview, and we knew that he had built a business that was worth several $100 million. And the secretary, very poker-faced as he tends to be, looked at him and said, "Are you willing to give it all up and move your family to Washington?" A young family, 4 young children, beautiful wife. "Are you willing to come across the country and serve our nation, serve this president to ensure vital programs like Medicare, which he runs, will keep our seniors healthy for years to come?" He gave it all up, like so many have in this administration, passionate to follow the president's lead and serve under Secretary Kennedy. And for those of you at home who are watching, and I hope there are quite a few, I think this shows just how cool a place it is to work, is in this government. And I take great pride in handing the ball to Chris. Chris, tell the American people what they have won thanks to your passionate ability to deliver on President Trump's promise.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Mr. President. You have enabled something that as recently as last night, nearly everyone has said was impossible. And Secretary Kennedy and Administrator Oz, thank you for having trust in us as a negotiating team to drive this forward on behalf of the American people. It is an absolute honor and privilege. And Mr. Bourla, to you and to the team at Pfizer, you have taken a step that I think few appreciate, requires a level of courage to change something that for decades administrations have tried. And there was no incentive rationally for you to do, and yet you've done it because you recognized the opportunity to align your economic interest with the social interest of the American people, and we're grateful. Today is historic, as has been discussed. This is a major win in the battle for affordable health care and affordable drugs. As the president said, on average, we pay nearly 3 times what the rest of the wealthy world pays for branded pharmaceuticals. And yet we drive more than 50% of global R&D, 50% of revenues, nearly 70% of profits. It's unjust. It's morally unjust. And when this happens, we stifle innovation and we limit access for the most vulnerable people across the planet and in America who need these medications. And so the president directed us to make deals. That's what he does, and it's what we do. And all great deals, and this is a great deal, are rooted in principles. And this deal was rooted in the principle of fairness. Now, the president could have directed us to go to the poorest country on the planet and find the cheapest price for every single drug and bring that back to the United States and use the might of the government to insist that that's the price we pay. And that might have worked, actually, for just a little bit. But very quickly, it would have utterly destroyed innovation in pharmaceuticals. It would have destroyed American primacy in building life-saving medications. There are nearly 20,000 known diseases on the planet. We have treatments or cures for far fewer than 10% of them. So that would have been a bad strategy, and it would have limited access to those who need those medications the most. But he didn't call for that. He didn't call for 50% lower than the lowest price on the planet. What he called for was fairness. And that's a powerful principle, because we all grow up wanting to be on the right side of fair. And it allowed us to do what has not been done before, which is to call on manufacturers and ask them to be fair, and allows us to go to countries and ask them to pay their fair share in the battle against global disease. And that is the unlock for this great deal. Now, it's my privilege to talk just for a few minutes about the details of the deal. First, let's start with the definition of MFN. What do we mean by that? This is not made-up list prices that have often been quoted in prior administrations, stuffed with fees and rebates. We're talking about we start at net prices, after fees, after rebates, the prices people actually pay here, the prices people actually pay in other wealthy countries. We then index to a basket of countries, wealthy countries, across the world. And we go drug by drug, and we look for the lowest price. And that becomes the starting point for what an MFN price is in the United States. And then we've built this principles of fairness on 5 key pillars, as we've talked about. Number 1, as has been discussed, direct access for patients at TrumpRx, which is a site soon to be launched, available often at full MFN and always at lower prices than currently available. This is bypassing middlemen. It increases transparency. In many instances, prices are 80% lower than they are today. No more Canadian detours to purchase drugs more inexpensively at our neighbor. You do it from home. You do it a click. This is American ingenuity outsmarting the system. Number 2, the president was very clear to us and directed us to ensure that we secured the lowest prices for the most vulnerable Americans, those who are served by Medicaid. So we focused there first. So Pfizer will be putting virtually all of its portfolio of drugs at MFN prices available to Medicaid in the near future. This safeguards the program. This ensures that this program lives as a lifeline without undue burden on the taxpayer for those who need it most, for our vulnerable Americans whom we are charged morally to care for. The third principle is about future-proofing fairness. This is the idea that Pfizer has committed, as are other manufacturers, that they will not launch a new drug for commercial, Medicare, Medicaid, or cash pay markets at a price that is higher than the other wealthy world. Now, they are free to price their drugs wherever they want. These are not price caps. These are not price controls. They can price however they'd like. We're simply asking them, and they are committing not to undercut us in other countries. This is an essential principle. This allows us to retrain other countries to appropriately value innovation for their citizens, to appropriately understand what fair share means, to contribute global R&D. This allows us not to compromise access for those who need it most. And this is a powerful commitment. The fourth principle is around shared savings. As our commerce colleagues and as our U.S. trade representative colleagues succeed in encouraging other countries to pay more for existing medications, a portion of that will go to fund additional R&D. And a portion of that will repatriate back to the United States to offset prices, lower prices further for Americans on those existing drugs. And the fifth principle, as discussed, with hats off to Secretary Lutnick and Ambassador Jameson Greer from U.S. Trade, is about Pfizer committing to onshore 100% of the value of all imports that it currently imports to the United States, thus ensuring that we seal our great American resurgence. If you're watching this right now, and you have been looking for evidence that this is a president who knows and cares about you, who is fighting for you, who is fighting for every American, this is Exhibit A. This is not an empty promise. It's not platitudes. It's not lacking a plan. These are hard contracts with teeth, lowering prices now that we will all feel. These are the most significant, historical, substantive, mathematically quantified price reductions in the history of our country in modern-day pharmaceuticals. I cannot thank you enough for your leadership in enabling this to happen. It is an absolute pleasure. The president has showed us that the impossible can be achieved, and that is what's happened today. God bless America. With that in mind, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Albert Bourla, CEO of Pfizer.
Mr. President, what an honor to be here today in this office to announce a landmark agreement. I think it's an historic day.
Is this the coolest office? He has a beautiful office. but the Oval is the coolest, right? What do you think?
I think by far. And I have seen other presidents' offices. There's nothing like that.
Yeah, it's good office.
Yeah. So it's an historic day because I think today we are turning the tide and we are reversing an unfair situation. For years, other rich nations refused to pay the fair share for the medical innovation. And as a result, Americans had to assume disproportional cost on their shoulders. This situation, we all knew, is not sustainable. This situation is a situation that many wanted to change, but no one could. This is changing today with this agreement. In July, the president sent to me and other heads of pharmaceutical companies a letter. And over there, he articulated 4 specific requests. These requests, it was obvious to us, were designed to lower drug cost in the America in different ways, each one of them. And altogether, holistically, to have synergistic effect in the impact that that will have in the US healthcare cost and patients. With this deal that we signed today, we satisfied all 4 of President's requests, all 4. The big winner of this deal clearly will be the American patient. There is no doubt about it. They are the ones that will see significant impact in their ability to buy medicines. But I would argue that it is not the only winner. I think who else is a winner here? It is American innovation and American economy. In our industry, we had 2 major overhangs that have substantially reduced our valuations and create concerns for us in our ability to invest. We are addressing both of them right now, and I will speak about them. The first one was the uncertainty of tariffs. Because President is absolutely right. Tariffs is the most powerful tool to motivate behaviors, Mr. President, and clearly motivated ours, right? So, by this agreement that we did, we commit to onshore the production of our medicines that are consumed in the US and are made outside the US. And for that, we are ready to unleash our investment portfolio in this country. And the President graciously gave us a 3-year grace period that we will not be subject to the 232 tariffs, as long as, of course, we move the products here. That's one. The second overhang in our industry was this uncertainty. What will happen with the framework of pricing in the country? Because this uncertainty, it was what was holding people from investing in the pharmaceutical industry, which resulted in significant reduction of our multiples. Actually, our multiples are at historical low. Well, now we have clarity about what is the framework for the US pricing. Read the letter of President Trump, read the 4 points, and this is the framework. And we will abide to that, and going forward, this is how things will be priced in the US and abroad. We are ready to invest, as the President also mentioned, $70 billion in the next few years from Pfizer in manufacturing and research in America alone. I really think this is an historical moment because also I can put that behind us and focus on the things that I want to spend my time, cancer treatments, to bring better obesity medicines, to bring better vaccines, to bring things that people value. And thank you for allowing us to do that. I want to thank Secretary Kennedy. I want to thank Secretary Lutnick. Your leadership helped us to pull that together. You are the mastermind of everything, and without the brilliant way that you designed the whole thing, we wouldn't be able to make it happen. Blessings. But you were even more brilliant because you had someone in your team that he was the driving force behind everything. And I don't have words to thank you for your integrity. And it is what you have said. We created trust from day one. And that was the most important thing that allowed us to be able to pull very difficult negotiations. Of course, also I want to thank the US trade representative, who is also heavily engaged, and he's probably the first trade representative that I have seen that cares about our industry and cares to do something about unfair situations out there. But more than anyone else, Mr. President, I want to thank you,
Thank you very much.
for your leadership and, frankly, for your friendship. Thank you.
Albert, thank you very much. Great job. Great job.
Thank you, Mr. President. The growth of drug spending, that is, the increase in drug pricing, is the fastest and biggest increasing area of healthcare spending. So today's announcement has incredible implications for healthcare spending in the United States. And today marks the beginning of the end of the Great American Ripoff. And it also marks the beginning and the end of a great American tragedy, something I've seen as a physician at the bedside. Patients getting spun up into a financial rage, doing GoFundMe campaigns online, sending repeat reminders, asking people to donate, getting their churches to pass the offering plate from pew to pew, Sunday after Sunday, to try to get enough money to pay for a drug in the United States, a drug that's 5 or 10 times more expensive than the same drug in France or Germany or the UK. People get spun up and it's a tragedy. Having cancer is hard enough. Getting spun up into a financial rage in order to try to get the money to pay for treatment makes it so much harder. 37% of people who go through cancer care say in the end that the financial toxicity makes them want to avoid or delay care in the future. That is, they're done with it. They're done with the system. That's how toxic financial toxicity can be. And for what? For what? So the U.S. can finance the R&D of the world? Well, that ends today, thanks to President Trump. So we want to see R&D. We want to see American pharmaceutical companies thrive. We want to see pharmaceutical companies that do business and manufacture in the United States thrive. At the FDA, we're doing our part. If you're going to equalize your price to that of other wealthy countries, we're not talking about Zimbabwe. We're talking about Germany, France, UK, Japan, other wealthy countries, the OECD countries. If you equalize your price, then we're going to put your future applications at the front of the line. A voucher to get a review in weeks has a market street value of about $500 million because every day is money when it comes to getting a drug approved. And so if you meet one of the president's national priorities stated very clearly, moving manufacturing to the United States, meeting a large unmet public health need, or equalizing your prices. We're the largest purchasers of drugs. We deserve the best prices. And so we're going to do our part. And if a generic company makes their drug in the United States, that application is going to move to the front of the line as well. And if you're going to build a plant in the United States, our FDA inspectors will walk through that plant during the construction phase, something never done before, so that it's ready on day one. So thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. They said it couldn't be done, and here we are. Thank you.
Chris, you may want to go up and just show one of the boards about how quickly the prices come down. And these are small examples. We're going to have it over 1,000% in some cases. You'll see that during the week. But we just picked out 4 at random, and you see the kind of numbers. Bobby and maybe Albert, good.
We picked 4 examples, but I want to be totally clear. These are not the only 4 examples. And the President mentioned this is not the only agreement. It is the first. It's a historic agreement. There are many to come, and we're excited to talk about them. And that means hundreds and hundreds of drugs. We are not exaggerating when we talk about reductions of up to 80%. We give you 4 examples here. One for dermatitis. The new price at MFN results in 80% reduction to what's available today. One in postmenopausal osteoporosis, 85%. Migraines that affect so many Americans, 50% reductions. Rheumatoid arthritis, something my own mother struggled with, 40% reductions. This is about access. This is about ensuring Americans have access to life-saving medications. These are real prices. These are net prices. They're not made up. They're not funny numbers.
Thank you very much. Great job you've done. Everybody here has been incredible. We've been standing here talking about the Make America Healthy Again a lot lately, and I think our meeting the other day was excellent on a thing called Tylenol. That was a very important meeting. I think that was a very important meeting. And this, in terms of pricing, it's going to be great for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. It's going to be great for everything because your medicine costs are coming way down. We have some examples that I think we'll be able to show you next week of over 1,000% in some cases, where a pill that cost $10 in London was costing $130 in New York and various other places within the United States. And the same thing with Canada. People would go to Canada, they'd go to Mexico, they'd go to other places to buy drugs. They don't have to do that anymore. So we have favored nations. So that's what we have. And it's one of the biggest days I think anybody will ever have. We're talking about massive numbers, and the numbers are going to get even better with a little time. And I will say, Albert, I think that the drug companies are going to be the same. You're going to, the world, we're really competing against the world, so they have more people. So we'll come down a lot, and the world's going to go up a little bit. And the end result is you're going to, I think, do the same business pretty much. Maybe you'll figure a way to do more business, I think, knowing you. But I think the drug companies, we're going to come down a lot, the U.S. The U.S. will come down a lot. But the world, many more people, is going to go up a little bit. And it equalized, and it's a great tribute. And I want to thank everybody up here. J.D., thank you for all of your help, too. And Howard, great, really great job. Thank you all very much. Do you have any questions? How about we focus on this? It's so big, let's focus on this.
Mr. President, can you please give us a timeline?
Yeah, Mr. President, first of all, this kind of goes along with your America First campaign promises for lowering health care costs. On a day that it seems like we're going into a government shutdown led by Democrats on the premise of providing health benefits to illegals, this seems to, your move here is a stark contrast to that. Could the same principles that you did today apply to health insurance, to maybe lower the cost of health insurance? Many Americans are kind of struggling with that.
We're working on just that, a little different group, but we're working on just that. It could, I don't know to this extent. We have a pill, one pill in particular we're going to show you next week. It sells for $10 in other countries and $137 in the U.S. And that's coming down now to probably $15 or $18. They'll go up to 18. I think that's pretty much right, Albert. It's not you, but they'll go up to 18, and we'll come down from 135 or whatever down to 18. I mean, that's a massive number. Remember, I was the one that held a news conference because I lowered drug prices by 1/4%. I think it was 1/8 of 1%, but it was the only one in 28 years that brought drug prices down for the year. But it was a very small number. Now we're talking about, you're going to see one over 1,000%. Look at these numbers. So, and this has a big impact, even on the discussion that we'll have with Chuck Schumer, who was here yesterday, along with a very nice gentleman who I didn't really know. You know who I'm talking about. The two of them came, and we had a good discussion, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. But this has a huge impact on that because these numbers are going to bring Medicaid. We talk about Obamacare. Obamacare is a failure. Obamacare is not good. It's there, but relative to other health care programs, it's in the lower 20%. It's not good. And I asked the Democrat representatives, what do you think about coming up with a better health care? This actually allows you to do that because the cost of prescription medicine is a very big, more than 50% the cost of what we're talking about. So we might be able to do something like that. This is one of the biggest news conferences from a medical standpoint that I think has ever been had by any administration. Yeah, please.
Thank you. I'm curious, where are the other companies other than Pfizer? Are you expecting them to come later?
They're all with us. And I was honored to have Albert be the first. He's done a fantastic job with, as you know, with the COVID. He did a fantastic job with a lot of things. He's a leader, and Pfizer is right at the top. It's there. Eli Lilly has been fantastic also, your friend, my friend. And they're all coming in over the next week. We're making deals with all of them. And I said, if we don't make a deal, then we're going to tariff them an extra 5, 6, 7, 8%, whatever the difference is, and we'll take it that way. So we took away the advantage by the fact that we have tariffs. we took away the advantage that they would have of just saying no and we couldn't do anything about it. If they do that, what we do is we'd put a tariff on them of an equivalent amount, and we take it that way. And nobody wants to play that game. So they're going to be, they're all going to be good. We didn't have to mention that to Albert. Well, maybe I whispered it to him very slightly, you know. We had to give ourselves a little bit of an advantage. But no, but the tariffs played a big role because they know that's what's going to happen.
President Trump. You mentioned the exemption of the 232s, but can you share a timeline for when we can expect the results of that 232 investigation?
Let Howard answer that question, please.
Sure. So while we're negotiating with these companies, we're going to let them play out and finish these negotiations because they are the most important thing to the American people. So we are standing by, helping and working with them, but the driver of the 232 outcomes is our HHS team because, I mean, look what they've accomplished today. So we are on their side helping them, but that is the model that's going to drive.
And you have to understand, Albert's spending $70 billion that he wouldn't be spending because of the tariffs, let's say, and other reasons. I think he liked the winner of November 5th, in all fairness, but because of the tariffs. And that wouldn't happen. He's not going to pay any tariffs because when he moves here, there are no tariffs. So he won't be paying tariffs. That's the beauty of it. If you move here, there are no tariffs. And we have over $17 trillion, Albert. Do you believe these numbers? So Biden had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We have over $17 trillion for essentially 8 months. Pretty amazing.
When will prices come down, Mr. President? When can
Immediately. They're going to start coming down. Drug prices? Well, they'll be starting immediately. Yeah.
Mr. President, can you speak to what impact you think this reduction in drug prices will have on midterms coming up?
I think it's going to have a huge. I said, if we can pull this off before midterms, I've wanted to do it from the beginning, from my first day in first term. And we were doing so well. We had the greatest economy we've ever had. Everything was good. And then we're ready to do this, which is complex and big. It's a big change. But what happened is COVID came, and we focused on COVID. We focused on COVID very hard with Albert, with the other companies, with everybody. Regeneron was a great thing. You know, we did a lot of therapeutics that were fantastic. And so we focused on that. And I said, if I pull this off again, the first thing I'm going to do, and you know, we've been working on this for 8 months. It's a very big deal. This is a big shock to the system. But it's not as much as I said. They're going to go up. The world is going to go up a little bit. We're going to come down a lot. But now it's fair. We're going to be paying the same thing. Yeah, please.
Trump, in your first term, when you cut the price of insulin, Biden later came in. He tried to steal credit for that. Do you worry that the Democrats are going to try to steal credit for these historic cuts?
I really appreciate your question because I did. I cut the price of insulin down to $35. And the problem is with many of these things, and in this case it's going to be pretty quick, but oftentimes you'll do something medically because of the process, and it won't be seen for 2 or 3 years. That happened also with, I could say 4 different things, but just if you talk about insulin, so it was 200, 300, 500, and you couldn't get it, and I got it down to 35. And I said, I hope I win the next election because otherwise whoever wins is going to take credit for it. Well, what happened is we did win the election. We did great. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that way from a practical standpoint. And Biden, when I saw him get up and take credit for the $35 and even less insulin, that was 1,000% lower than what it was just previous. Boy, I tell you, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. So I did the best I could to let him know we did it, because we want to be given credit. But we are the ones that got insulin down to that number. And you're right, they tried to take credit for it. They had nothing to do. In fact, they didn't even know what happened. All of a sudden, the insulin price kicked in at $35. And they asked Biden about it. He had no idea what the hell they were talking about. But after they explained, and they didn't really explain to him because he was not capable really of understanding it. But when they went out and talked about it, they acted like it was a great feat by Biden. It had nothing to do with him. And it continues, and we'll get it down even further. But insulin was, people weren't taking it, I would imagine. They couldn't take it. God bless you, Bobby. I hope I didn't catch COVID just there. Don't you have Paxlovid? What is it? Pax.
I have it here.
He's got Paxlovid. give me a Paxlovid immediately.
While Nancy Pelosi is ignoring what you're doing for the American people, she's going after your administration for cutting taxpayer-funded healthcare for illegal aliens. Last night,
who's doing that?
Nancy Pelosi. She went on NBC last night, dropped a bunch of F-bombs, told Republicans to go F themselves. Has she lost her mind?
We have done an unbelievable job medically. Just this, if you did nothing else, we've done a lot, like the insulin. But just this, nobody can ever catch this. This is the biggest price reduction times, maybe 10 times, 15 times, than has ever been given before. And this is going to have a huge impact. You know, as I said, Obamacare is not a good thing. It's been bad. And I'd like to make it better. I told them, I spoke to a lot of people, a lot of Democrats recently. I said, why don't we change it? We can make Obamacare much better. We could come up with a new system that would be much better, less expensive for the people and better. This is maybe the biggest breakthrough because, you know, when you're talking about the prescription drugs, that's a big part of it. So we're going to look. This is prescription, but we're going to be looking at that. We could come up and through this whole thing, you know, because I don't know, we'll probably have a shutdown because one of the things they want to do is they want to give incredible Medicare, the Cadillac Medicare, to illegal immigrants. And what that does is it keeps them coming into our country, and like they do in California. And no country can afford that. No country. And we have the border stopped up. We have it closed. We have nobody for 4 months. Zero people came in. That wasn't me. That's by the authorities who happen to be liberally oriented. But just think of that. We have people offering health care to people all over the world that they can't afford to pay. And that's the Democrats. And what that does is it brings people into the country because they want to come in for the health care. But no country can afford it, and they can't afford it. So we cannot allow them to charge tremendous amounts of money for health care for people that aren't even citizens. And in many cases, they come in from prisons, jails, and mental institutions. And we can't let that happen. So we have a big fight over that. We have a fight over open borders. They still want open borders. We're having a fight over men and women's sports, if you believe it. You would have thought they would have learned that it's not a good issue. And we have a fight in transgender, as you know, transgender for everybody. And that, when you talk medically, that's a lot of money too. That's a lot. Those operations are bad. So those things are also being discussed right now. I mean, can you imagine we're actually talking about open borders, and we now have a great border, and we have a great country. Our country was dead 1 year ago. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Big difference. Yeah.
What do you say about the state of the Democrat Party when they have a 33% favorability rating on average in recent months, and they're willing to shut down the government over health care?
They are shutting it down. We're not shutting it down. We don't want it to shut down because we have the greatest period of time ever. I told you, we have $17 trillion being invested, so the last person that wants it shut down is us. Now, with that being said, we can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. And you all know Russell Vought. He's become very popular recently because he can trim the budget to a level that you couldn't do any other way. So they're taking a risk by having a shutdown because of the shutdown, we can do things medically and other ways, including benefits. We can cut large numbers of people out. We don't want to do that, but we don't want fraud, waste, and abuse. And, you know, we're cutting that. But they want to have illegal aliens come into our country and get massive health care at the cost to everybody else, and we don't have it. And that's I would say, the number one reason that they want to strike is to get illegal immigrants health care. And, you know, Gavin Newsom wants that, too, in California, and it's destroying California. We can't have that. We're not going to let it happen.
Do you have a plan for dealing with drug companies that are responding to MFN only by raising prices overseas as opposed to lowering prices in the U.S.?
No, they're responding. I understand that question very well, but they're responding by lowering prices. They're helped by lowering prices. You know, there's a price at which they can't sell, and they're helped by lowering prices. In the case of Albert and in the case of Eli Lilly, the fact is our prices are coming down massively. You see, that's just a few of the basics. but they're coming down much more than that with many drugs, and over 1,000%. Think of that, over 1,000% reduction. And we'll show you that next week, because we have some of them on the board next week, where you have over 1,000% price reduction. No, what's going to happen is you're going to have the market will kick in. This way, the market kicks in. The other way, it was just basically, it was just a form of control. You were stifling the market. Yeah.
At this point, is a shutdown inevitable? And how would you describe the negotiations with Democrats yesterday? Are more meetings scheduled?
So nothing is inevitable, but I would say it's probably likely, because they want to give health care to illegal immigrants, which will destroy health care for everybody else in our country. And I didn't see them bend even a little bit when I said we can't do that. Okay?
Can I ask a question of Dr. Oz, Administrator Oz? If there is no deal reached on the Obamacare subsidies with the Democrats, is there anything that CMS can do to lower those, to mitigate the increases of those Obamacare subsidies?
Not really, but we have time. We have time till the end of the year to make the changes I know the president is evaluating, but we should have a clean continuing resolution, get past this budget process as it has happened so many times, and allow the president and leadership some freedom to be able to put some good ideas in front of the legislative bodies.
Mr. President, undocumented immigrants.
We actually do have time for that.
Not eligible for the health care subsidies that Democrats are demanding. So can you clarify, what are you talking about when you say Democrats want to protect their health care?
So when an illegal person comes in, a person who came into our country illegally, therefore breaking the law, and look, we all have big hearts. I have a bigger heart than you do. They're all breaking the law, and they're coming into our country. And we just, as a country, cannot afford to take care of millions of people who have broken the law coming in. We want them to come into our country, but we want them to come in legally. Now we have a strong border, very strong border, thanks to Christie and Tom Homan and the whole group. They've done an amazing job at the border. I mean, we had a border that was reckless. We had a border that was a disaster. They were coming in by the millions. I say 25 million people. You're saying less, but I say 25 million people came in illegally. And no system can take care of the health care of all of those people that came in. Now, a lot of them have gone out. We have over 11,000 murderers. We got many of them out. Many of those people have been taken out of the country, brought back to where they came from. In some cases, put in prison because they're so dangerous. We don't want to take them out. We have to watch them. We don't want them coming back. But if you look at what's happened in Washington, D.C. right now, it is such a place. I just drove through it. And it's clean and nice and beautiful, and people are walking around and they're not afraid of being mugged. We haven't had murders. We haven't had anything happen in a long time. It took us 12 days to make it very good. It took us 20 days to make it beautiful. And now we're going to Memphis. But I think we should always keep a presence here, because if we don't keep a presence, it's going to come back never like it was, because we got rid of 1,700 career criminals. You know what that is? One career criminal can give you a lousy reputation for danger, because they commit many crimes a day in some cases. But Washington, D.C. is an unbelievable example of what can happen. And now we're going, as you know, to Memphis, which was very similar to Washington, very dangerous. And we're there, and we're working along very well with the governor, the mayor. A lot of these Democrat mayors, you know what they don't want to have us do well, because if we do well, it makes them look bad, and they shouldn't feel that way. If I were a Democrat and I was a governor or mayor, I'd be calling Trump. I'd say, get your troops over here, just help, because the mayor of Washington is getting a lot of credit for what we did, a lot of credit. But the beauty is, isn't it nice, seriously, you walk down the street, you're not going to be mugged, you're not going to be hit. We had a meeting about 3-4 months ago, and I was saying to the media, how many of you people have been threatened or mugged or accosted during your walk to the White House? And they said, we don't walk to the White House anymore. But the answer was, remember, Brian, almost everybody's, look at this guy. They even attacked this big, strong guy, right? Didn't you get attacked? Did you? But yeah, just take a look at the other guy, right? What happened to the other guy? I don't know. Those other guys are pretty tough. They're tough with a gun in their hand, right? And yeah, you were hit pretty hard. But almost everybody was. And now, nobody. Anybody been accosted in the last 3 weeks? If I would have said that 6 months ago, half the hands would have been raised out. No, we have a very safe city now. The country's going to be safe. We're doing one at a time, and we'll be going to Chicago. I told you this, our Union Pacific, head of the railroad. He knows this country very well. Started off as a very low-rung employee of the Union Pacific. He's now chairman. He came to me and he said, "Sir, save Chicago. It's a great city. It's going down fast." They had 11 people killed over the last couple of weeks. 11 people killed, 48 shot. That's not a city. It's a war zone. There's no city in the world like that. And then we have to listen to this Pritzker get up. I know him well. They threw him out of his business, and the family threw him out of the business because he's a loser. But we have to listen to Pritzker get up. He should call me and say, "Get the troops in." You ever hear that? 11 people over a week and a half killed. And I think it's 48, when you add it up, 48 people shot. And then I have to listen to a governor say how nice it is. It's a wonderful experience. Now, what is a wonderful experience is D.C. People are eating in the restaurants. They just opened 2 new restaurants, which hasn't worked in years. And we had it pretty good 4 years ago. We were just getting ready to do this, but we did it right. And, you know, we have a big victory in the Supreme Court. It's called merit. And so that includes the military. Our soldiers, did you see what they look like? These guys, they look like serious soldiers. They weren't playing games. And they went in there and they did a fantastic job. And Washington, D.C. is now a beautiful, safe city. The restaurants are thriving. The people are walking down the street holding their husband or their boyfriend's hand, and they're not worried about being raped or mugged or shot at. And it's been an amazing thing. And we'll do that in every city. We'll do them sort of one at a time. We'll do a couple at a time. And we have a tremendous force because, as you know, in recruitment numbers, when we put out, 2 years ago, when Biden would put out recruitment, nobody would join. Nobody wanted to be in the military. Nobody wanted to be police. It was just announced this morning. You probably saw my speech over with the military, with the generals, admirals. Record numbers of people signing up for the Navy, the Army, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force. I love Space Force. That was my baby. But we have record numbers of people signing up, and that includes police department, fire department. So, you know, it's been an amazing thing. Well, we're going to have another meeting next week on this. We have another great company coming in, similar kind of numbers. But we're going to show you some 1,000% drops in prices. There has never been anything like this in the history of medicine, and it's an honor. And Albert, I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody behind me, because you are a great team. We have a great team. Everybody says you have a great cabinet. It's a great team. So thank you, Bobby. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, that was President Trump announcing that Pfizer company had agreed to lower some of its drug prices in the U.S. Also, there's going to be a new website, Trump RX, on which the government will sell some drugs directly to consumers. I'm not sure about the specifics of this whole thing. Healthcare and drug pricing and all that is a very complex topic. I don't really know the details of all of this, so I can't really intelligently speak on it. Of course, lower drug prices in theory is great. I'm all for everything being equal. I'm certainly all for prices being lower to consumers. Just as an exercise, and again, I don't know the specifics of how all this is working. As an exercise, I asked Google Gemini AI, what might some downsides of something like this be, if there are downsides? One thing that Google AI suggested is, well, if the drug company is making less money, they say that pharmaceutical companies say that the money they make in the U.S. subsidizes the enormous cost of research and developing new drugs. So, in theory, if they're making less money, that might mean fewer investment in research and development and fewer new drugs in the future. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's a possibility. Also, another thing was that Gemini AI mentioned is, since, as I understand it, the agreement is to match the lowest price in other wealthy countries. Google AI said that that a drug company might just raise prices in other countries rather than lower the price in the U.S. So that would keep the U.S. price higher because the U.S. is their most profitable market. Now, I don't know if any of this is going to happen. What I'm saying to you is these are complex things. I don't know the specifics of this, so I can't really intelligently comment on all this. Again, I'm all for lower prices. All things being equal, it's not a bad thing if people can afford more drugs that will help them, certainly. So I'm going to try to do some more research on this and see what, I don't, certainly we didn't get the whole announcement, and I don't even know if all the specifics have been announced or decided. Well, I know they haven't because there's going to be other drug companies that make deals. So I will be doing more research myself on this. Yeah, so I just wanted to give you some, a little bit of non-expert context on the whole thing. Also, hold on a second here. Let's see here. And also, I wanted to mention something else. First of all, this is going to be a relatively short. Well, we originally came on the air this morning to cover the Trump speech several hours ago to the military leaders, the rare gathering of military leaders in Quantico, Virginia. If you missed that, we covered that earlier. You can go rewind and watch that. I also want to mention an update about that joint base in New Jersey. There was no active shooter. There was no active shooter there. Okay, after all that. And I do want to apologize. I got a little upset because a bunch of people were posting in the chat saying there's an active shooter. And I get upset when I feel like people are posting alarming things that might not be true because, look, somebody in the chat might have a relative who works at this base. And you have people in the chat saying there's an active shooter there. And as I was saying, there were no confirmed reports that I saw of there being an active shooter. I hadn't seen anything in the media about it. Now, at one point, I went back and watched it. Fox News briefly cut in, and Fox News had a headline that said, something like base closed because of active shooter. I think what Fox News was actually reporting on was that the alert was about a possible active shooter. That's my guess. In which case the headline probably should have said something like, base closed due to possible active shooter. It was a short report. They didn't get into specifics. And I think some of our viewers may have seen that headline or heard that briefly on Fox News and said, oh, there's an active shooter. But, I mean, there wasn't. And I would say this if CNN did it or MSNBC did it. Fox News gets a lot of stuff right with breaking news. I certainly look for them for breaking news. But in this case, it just seemed, given the amount of time that alert had been going on for and the lack of any kind of reporting from local news, from national news on it, it just seemed like we really didn't know if there was an active shooter. So I would just encourage you to please be careful before you post these things in the chat and you say things like this, because again, people might have family or friends at that base and they hear somebody in the chat saying there's an active shooter there, and there wasn't. And we didn't know that there was. I'm really glad there wasn't. And so as you can see, they said at approximately 10:58 a.m., Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst emergency response personnel responded to reports of an active shooter on the installation. Base emergency protocols were activated and law enforcement officials arrived on scene. No active shooter threat was substantiated, and the base resumed normal operations at 11:57 a.m. So again, just try to be careful with this stuff. That's what I would encourage you to be. Okay. But again, I'm sorry I got upset about it. I don't like when I feel like people might be getting false information and unnecessarily alarmed by it. So, anyways. I just wanted to mention that. But I do apologize for getting upset. Normally, if there really is a shooting incident going on, after a certain amount of time, you will start to see reports, for example, in the local media outlets. And I had just seen nothing about it confirming it, like an hour after. So I felt, I'm not sure if this is really an active shooter incident. I'm certainly glad that it wasn't. Okay. Anyways. And by the way, a couple quick thank yous to people who I didn't get a chance to thank on air because this was going on, the Trump announcement. Squid Boy, TK, All Rithen, Jiggle Jess, Denim Donuts, Dan and Maggie, Wes, the Vladinator, and Steve Baker and James Gorman over there on YouTube. Thank you for your support. Lunar Guardian, Dean R, Space Cadet, PAG per 420. Also on Twitch, Valorant, thanks for the subscribers, the gift subs. Valorant, Vlad Amir, thank you so much. Big Dog Gaming, Jill Q2, thank you. Guy from the 207 on Twitch, thank you so much for your support on Twitch. King Lebanon as well. Ya Mate Na, and Penolta and Hot Richard and CC and Stoic Pause. And I apologize for something else. I kind of need to wrap this stream up. I'd like to have some, normally we would take some more time and talk about what we just heard and read some more of your comments. The problem is I actually am going to be traveling tonight, which is also why I will not be able to do a live government shutdown stream, because I will be traveling tonight. But I will be bringing I'm actually going to be in Madrid for a little bit, but I am bringing my portable setup with me. So I will be able to cover agenda-free TV streams. I will be able to cover the news and do agenda-free TV from Madrid. But I need to pack. I haven't packed everything up, and it's a bit of stuff to pack up. So I need to get going with that. I didn't realize we'd be on so long because I jumped on this morning, and then I wanted to stay on and cover the drug announcement, but now this has gone longer than I thought. So I got to go pack. And again, I apologize that we won't be live for the government shutdown at midnight or 12:01 a.m. Normally I would be. Maybe we can cover it in the next couple days. Also, I do want to mention, as I mentioned earlier, for those who might want to watch it, I do have a personal channel. It's a smaller channel. And when I travel, for example, I do some live streams on that channel once in a while, like personal stuff. And when I travel, I will do some live streams on the personal channel as well as Agenda Free TV. That is called Lookner on YouTube. And on Twitch, it's called Look Nerd with a D. So if you're interested, you can check that out. I will be doing some streams while I'm in Madrid from there. But again, I will be covering news. I will be covering news on Agenda Free TV from Madrid. So my plan is to cover all the news I would normally cover. Basically, I'm planning on covering there while I'm there. Okay, so. I really appreciate you guys being here. I apologize for not being able to take more comments on what we just saw. I just got to go do this. I got to wrap this up. But we did cover, this was like a bonus coverage anyway, because we came on the air earlier to cover the military speech. You can go back and watch that if you want on this stream. Anyways, I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and thanks for everybody who's been participating in our chat. You can subscribe, follow the channel if you'd like. Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. Also, I will be posting updates. Even while I'm traveling, I will post updates. Even while I'm on the plane, as long as the internet works, I will post updates on my X account, which is @Lookner. I cover breaking news @Lookner on X. And let's see. Did it work? Did it post the way I wanted it to? I think. Let's see here. Oops, it says join base something. Nope, that didn't. I just tried to post my Twitter, and it was a mix of two posts. So now I have to go back and try this again. All right, I just did it. All right, sorry about that. Okay, and we turn on the notifications for the channel. I cannot say when big news is going to happen, so By the way, I'll fix the headline to not say now because the announcement's over. I don't know when big news is going to happen, but if you sign up for our free notifications, you can get sent a message whenever we go live. It's free, works really well. It's easy to sign up. The Moz will post a link to the free notifications in the chat. You can also find the link to the free notifications on Facebook and YouTube in the description of this video. So sign up for the notifications. Huge thanks to our moderators. You guys are awesome. Our moderators are the reason that we can even have chat rooms. We love to be able to allow people with different views to come in and chat and share those views, but it's got to be civil and respectful, and that's why our moderators are the ones keeping it under control there. So thank you so much, moderators. Over there on YouTube, Roberts May Queen, Beth Mythical, Ruth Krafasi, all of our other, Janet B., all of our other YouTube moderators, thank you. On Twitch, Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, and Sarah, thank you so much. Facebook, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Shannon Davis Hughes, thank you. Linda Belk, Larry, and Michonne X. Thanks to all of our moderators so much. And thanks to everybody who donated to the channel today. That's really nice of you. That is what allows me to do the channel. What allows the channel to exist, allows me to buy news footage and all that. So I really appreciate your support for the channel. I hopefully thanked everybody. I tried to thank everybody. I think I did. Let's see. Oh, I owe a thanks to Penolta over there on Twitch. Thank you, Penolta and Big Dog Gaming. Thank you. But I really appreciate your support. If you ever want to donate to the channel, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. Thanks also Allison Poroshin and TK. Thank you. And also, if there's some huge story tonight while I'm on the plane, I apologize. I can't cover it. Just know, I can't control that. So hopefully the news, I'm already not going to be able to cover the live government shutdown when it starts. But maybe we can do shutdown coverage the next couple of days. But anyways, the plan is to cover stuff while I'm away. All right, let's see here. Hold on a second here. Okay, hey, I also want to mention another good way to find out when we're live is to follow us on X. If you're on X, at Agenda Free TV, I always post there when we're going live. I post updates about the channel there. At Agenda Free TV. We do have a chat where you can chat for free with other viewers on Discord. A lot of our viewers really like doing that. Again, it's free. It's the same link as the free notifications link. So check out our Discord chat. And thanks so much to our Discord moderators for all you do. For those watching on YouTube, I would suggest turning on the YouTube notifications. It's a little tricky to do that. Here's how you turn on the YouTube notifications. What you got to do is you got to subscribe to the channel. Then you got to click this bell. Then you got to choose all notifications. If you're already subscribed on YouTube, make sure you have the bell checked and you've chosen all notifications. Hey, thanks so much to our subscribers on Twitch for supporting the channel, like Wall Street and Shaggy, Valorant, Vladimir, Sarah, Ivana, Ascertainment, Jax Haku, Matthew Kohai 3, Good Luck Duck, I Got That Fire. Thanks for subscribing over there. All of our subscribers on Twitch, thank you. Penolta, thank you. Flumpingtons, thank you, Flumpingtons. Quantica, thank you. And Amalian and all of our other Twitch subscribers. Devil Doc as well. It's Tech Slug. I Got That Fire, thank you. Also our Facebook subscribers like Robert Real II. Thank you. Lou Knight, Jennifer Ellers, Shannon Davis Hughes, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley. Hey, thanks, Margaret, for the Facebook stars. I really appreciate that, Margaret. Thank you so much. Chuck Mosca, Sharon Klassen Goslin, and all of our other Facebook subscribers. Really appreciate it. Had a couple new ones I saw there that we thanked earlier. RJ Mercado. Thanks, Joel Heller, for the bits for the Facebook stars again. And also our YouTube members like Evelyn in Maine, Leon, Val Cargo, Roger Shoemaker. Thanks for supporting Joe Hart, Ali C, CAC 813, Sweet Shot, Corey Carroll. Thank you for being a member. Justin King, Bluesy Girl, J.K. Sinar, Roger Shoemaker. Sorry if I'm repeating some. Justin King, Team Jaden Alexis. Mama Yoli, Bluesy Girl, Sweet Shot, Val Cargo. Now I'm repeating myself. Justbo, Elizabeth Ely. Oh, I should have mentioned this earlier. If we do have any subscribers in Madrid, if you have any Madrid tips, let me know. You can email agendafreetv@gmail.com. You can write to me on X @Lookner. But yeah, I'd love to hear any suggestions from our Madrid viewers, if we have any there. Okay. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. Again, I will be flying tonight, but I will have my portable setup with me, which I need to go pack now, so I can do agenda-free TV streams on the road. Okay? Thanks, JD63, for being a member. Thanks, Shan N, for watching. Thanks to everybody else for watching. Steel and Leather, thanks for watching. SDF, thanks for watching. Old Mordeem. And just to say a few more, Marianne Sell, thanks for watching. Cindy Dennis, Mary DeFiore, Adam Roy Santos, and everybody else. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you want to see President Trump's speech to the military leaders, rewind the broadcast. It's there. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks again to all of our moderators. We'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.